Doesn't share its secrets easily.
Yep, we're going live.
Deep in the Florida hammocks, the shadows move and the legend breathes. Tonight, we go beyond the stories. Joining us on Sasquatch Watch Radio, we sit down with veteran researcher Mike Aguilar. We're talking tracks, vocalizations, and the unfiltered truth about what's lurking in the pines. The night is young and the woods are waiting. You're listening to Sasquatch Watch Radio. Let's get into the deep brush. Here is your host, Gary Kendrick.
Hey everybody, running a little bit late. Had some issues with StreamYard coming on, but we're here with Mike from Florida. We're going to get into it.
Hello.
Mike,
thank you for having me.
Yes, sir. Great to have you back on, pal. You got some big things going on.
It's been a what, since I think February.
Yeah.
It was about February. So, you know, my kids are still running around with that song. Every once in a while, they'll be like, all right, play the Mike Aguilar song.
I really like the songs. Some of them are, man, impressive. I mean, impressive.
My daughter will be like, Mike Aguilar. She loves it. She cracks me up when that song's on because of the way they say my last name in it.
Yeah.
But it's funny. It makes it even better though.
It's not always perfect, but man, it's pretty awesome.
Oh yeah, the way it does the wording and everything is pretty awesome.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And,
well, I hope you don't mind. I hope you don't mind. We got a pretty lady going to join us here in a few minutes.
Look, as ugly as I am, anytime we can get a pretty lady to come in, maybe it'll bring some more people in.
I mean, I'm not sure if that's Patty behind us, but
I've been told you can press my face and make gorilla cookies out of them.
So, how's life been, man? Been good?
Been going pretty good. I'm down at the campground right now, running from my camper. It's been busy. It's been and I tell you, we talked a little bit about this before we actually got this thing to take off and go live, but it's been an incredibly rough year in my part of Virginia because we had a big cold snap that come through late March, early April, and it killed everything. It really hurt the berry crop, apples, all kinds of stuff, just didn't make it. And it's been a really dry summer, and we're just now starting to get rain, and it's really heavy rain, and it's coming in all at once.
I swear the whole country has just been the weather systems across the whole country have been weird. It's just everything's off.
I tell you, there was a hurricane. There was this tornado that touched down in Kentucky. Right, it was pretty close to the guy that had on the show. It was Somerset and London area, and it took out a big section of forest through there. And since that tornadoes went through there and took all that forest down, I've noticed that we get higher winds and stuff here now.
Oh wow!
So we created a channel for that air to move through.
Wow, there's still parts of Florida like you'll go in there and 5 years later after these hurricanes have come through, some of these Cat 4 and 5 hurricanes like up Michael up in the Panhandle and some of these other ones, like you go through there and it's still you're like, man, did they have a fire here? And then you realize, oh, that was a hurricane that came through, and it just it flattens everything. When those trees when it comes through, it takes every bit of leaves off everything. And sometimes it just kills all the trees because they have nothing to do their photosynthesis with. I can say that, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I got a couple posts I'm gonna bring up here real quick. This is from a pretty regular listener here, Ray Mosley. Ray says that snow cold snap killing your berries is why your Bigfoot run off to Ohio, and that's true. I haven't had any reports of anything close here lately, but now Ohio has had a lot of activity. If I can get this one to come. And Thomas Steinberg up in Canada not had a single report so far in BC in 2026. I'm right there with you, Thomas. We're not having I haven't heard of anything here in Virginia this year. So it's been a really off year. Really off year.
Well, I gotta say, we've had the opposite. We've been insanely active. Like, I mean, it's been both us as a group and our activity as a family and our team and everything has been very active. Obviously, you can see my name's changed a little bit, but we started our own research team. We just felt like it was time to do our own thing and kind of go our own route. I had some people I really wanted to work more with too, in a different direction on some ways. So now we're kind of like we're like a two-sided team. You've got one half of it is me, Christina, and our children, which you knew before. Me and my kids have been going out forever. And my son, Kalen and Kylie are like two of the most legit little researchers in the country, like as far as stuff they find. And now we're getting Christina's daughter and her son involved, and they're starting to find things. Whenever she comes on, I'll let her tell you how we had a family encounter in a new area. We've moved to Brooksville, and the area I go into is a little bit different area than where I've been going for since 2000 and probably 18 or 19. This is a more northern area that's right where the Florida corridor kind of comes down the west coast of Florida and cuts over. And then it comes down right into where I grew up, which is Wesley Chapel, down into Tampa and back around through the Green Swamp in one big belt or one big corridor area. And where we live now is right where that corridor comes down the west side of Florida and cuts over. We're right in the middle of that.
Thomas Steenberg has a question here for you.
Yeah.
Thomas wants to know, run across any of those big pythons, Mike?
Not here yet. I've heard reports of them here. Definitely down in the Everglades with our friend David Shealy down there. He's a quarter mile away from Turner Road, and Turner Road is one of the main roads everybody goes down to do snake python hunting. It goes down to Bear Island. It'll take you back to Bear Island, which is pretty famous for reports and sightings too. I haven't caught one yet. I've gone down to the Everglades a lot of times over the last probably 4 years since I've met David, and I haven't got to catch one. I know they're there. People are catching them like crazy. I've seen a hell of a lot of moccasins down there. Oh my God. You go out at night and you realize that it's not just grass that you're walking around in at night. It's actually, it's a big floodplain. And you start walking around that grass at night and all those moccasins come out at night. It's wild. But they're pulling some monster pythons out of there. 17, 18, 19 foot. It's wild.
We talked about it a couple of weeks ago on a show. I had a guy from Florida on, and we talked. It was the Papa Squatch team.
Oh, and, yeah, Jason.
We talked to Jason and him, and one of the things that we brought up was Florida kind of has a reputation for aggressive Sasquatch, and Jason and them guys, they're on a little bit different, I guess, strategy than I am. Their beliefs in it's a little different than mine. Which, that's great. That's what I want. I want everybody to talk about everything. But we talked about why possibly Florida had so much aggression. And, it kind of dawned on me, and we talked about it a little bit on the show. Maybe Florida is aggressive because Florida is home to so many other large predators. Because you got to figure in Florida, you got crocodiles, alligators, you got the big snakes, panthers, bears. And it's all right there, and that's not even that's excluding the water because you got bull sharks and everything else. It's
we got lots of stuff. We're the Australia of America.
Yeah, and it's not always a good thing. A lot of introduced species in Florida. There's a wild, I think they're macaques.
Oh yeah,
in Florida. And we have a wild population.
They're in Ocala, up in Ocala.
Thomas Steen wants to know, he says, do you think the big snakes could be a new food source for the skunk ape? I'm going to hop in on that one. I'm going to say, yeah.
I think so. I would say so. If they saw it, they took it. I mean, they're not very fast moving.
Yeah.
I definitely could see them grabbing. And I've heard they're pretty damn good to eat, too.
I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to have to be in a hard spot before I'll eat a snake. There is not a lot of things in the woods that I'm afraid of, but I am afraid of snakes.
I mean, I'm from Florida, so I can deal with everything. Pretty much, I have caught, and my son's the same way. He catches everything. I've caught gators my whole life. I've relocated them. I've caught snakes, just about every kind. One thing I don't like, which we have a lot of, are spiders. I'm not a big spider guy. Now I don't mind. Like, I'm not gonna like scream like a little girl. But I mean, where's she at? Christina, you will hear. It sounds like somebody just ripped her fingernails off with pliers when she runs into a spider web at times. But but I don't like them. I just don't like I don't like it. I don't like that. Like, our spider's half the size of our hand, and you'll turn to go walk through, and you'll hit one of these banana spiders, and it's like right there. And you bump the web, and he starts going and like pumping on the web, and it's like, ah. And you don't see him till you turn into it. You don't see it till you run into one.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan, but everything else I'm pretty okay with. I mean, I'm not a big fan of those palmetto bugs either. That's not fun. When you get a damn flying palmetto bug fly into your hair and your neck or whatever, that's not a lot of fun either. But I can deal with that. What's that?
They're substantial. That's not a little bug. Palmetto bugs are a big bug.
No, hell no. No, they're 3-inch long bug, like going, and they're heavy. But hey, are you coming this way?
Yeah.
Dun, 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 dun.
This side.
There she is.
Hi.
The beautiful.
With a gator tooth necklace on.
Oh yeah. That's handmade from our friend Sophie in the Everglades. She's a Miccosukee Indian from the Everglades who hand makes them.
My grandfather, his brother lived in Florida, and I'm trying to think of the name of the town. It's right next to Disney. Was it
Kissimmee?
No, it wasn't Kissimmee. It's
Kissimmee, Apopka,
Winter Haven,
no,
Lakeland.
There's an airport not too far from where they lived at.
Sanford.
He lived in Sanford, and his wife was full-blooded Seminole Indian. Her name was Sadie.
Ah.
And when I was little, I remember meeting my great aunt Sadie, and she was a full-blooded Indian.
Wow, they're amazing people, man. They are. I've got the pleasure of knowing quite a few that we've met down in the Everglades, including Betty Osceola, which is huge in trying to preserve the Everglades, and her nephew Joseph Osceola. They're super nice people, man. And we got to hear some stories that I can't even talk about. And like the skunk ape's different to them than it is to us. It's different.
She's a direct descendant of the original Osceola, I believe.
What's that? Yes, she is. Her father was a tribal leader.
Mm-hmm. I've read about her.
Yeah, she's an amazing activist. She's the one that stopped the Alcatraz, basically. The alligator Alcatraz.
Yep.
Yeah, there's amazing
Tommy
people.
Steinberg here wants to know, we'll ask both of you. Do you think that the Florida skunk ape and the Sasquatch of the Pacific Northwest are the same thing?
I personally don't. I'm not 100% sure how you feel, and you pretty much feel it's kind of that there could be two different species too, right?
Oh yeah, just like with people.
I think it's a subspecies. I think we have both in Florida. I think they're all descendants of up north, but I think what we have in Florida are two different from even those up there. You go to Asia and you have a lot of different Asians there.
Yeah.
I mean, there's not just Chinese people. There's Korean and North Korean, Japanese. I mean, there's just everything. I think it's the same thing here, and I think that's why. I don't think we've had this discussion so many times. Like, oh, do you think they're smaller? And I'm like, I don't think they're necessarily shorter. I don't think their footprints are smaller. I think it's the same size. It's just not as bulky. not quite as much. Not doesn't have the winter mass that you don't need
More
it.
lean.
Just like a panther. A panther and a cougar is the same thing. A mountain lion. They're the same thing. It's just a different area, you know, different species, but it's the same species, but different in location. Everything is smaller as you go down.
That's kind of what I'm thinking about too. I think it's Bergman's law. The further south you go, the smaller things are, and the further north you go, the bigger things are. But
Just like deer.
I'll be honest with you, and to answer Thomas's question, from my point of view, they are and they're not.
Right.
I think Sasquatch and skunk ape are related. I don't necessarily think that they are maybe exactly the same. Just like you said, I think it may be some kind of subspecies because, you know, like we have the Sasquatch here, and then you can take your description of the Sasquatch and go anywhere with it across the world, and it'll match pretty much what other people are seeing. But there'll be differences. Like when they talk about the orang pendek, even the footprint is kind of different from the orang pendek because it has kind of a divergent big toe.
Yeah.
But still, you know, the upright, hairy, you know, real elusive, hiding, all that stuff is the same. So I think maybe there is a good possibility that there could be a lot of subspecies.
And I think that you have both in the same areas too in Florida on a lot of places. And maybe they bred together.
That's what I was going to say. Like, even with, like, you know, inbred animals, you know, dogs and cats, they start to, you know, get deformed and stuff like that. You never know.
I've seen things in our woods that look more like a gorilla, and I've seen things that look more like a person. And then I've seen pictures of things that they see down south and the footprints they find down there. I haven't personally found the footprints like David finds, but he finds some funky footprints. And I've been down there and found what I would say is a stereotypical Sasquatch footprint down there in the Everglades, but shorter. It's weird. It was like I found these shorter, wide footprints down there in the sawgrass, a bunch of them. But and you can't make out toes in sawgrass. It's not going to happen. All it is you're walking in dead sawgrass and mud, and with water. Even in the dry season, it's water underneath you. During the wet season, that's where his video is filmed. That's 2 foot of water. You know, about out in that area.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like I talked to you earlier this week about a footprint that I seen that you'd posted a picture of, and it was a really cool print. And you did exactly what I like to see because you had measurements that showed length and width on it. And me and you discussed it on Messenger, I guess. But it's one of the things that I look for in a Sasquatch track is that usually the width of the track is about half of the overall length. So if you've got like a 14-inch print, the width is usually about 7 inches wide. And I mean, it's going to vary some. You know, you might have a 13-inch print with a 7.5-inch width, but that still basically falls to that same rule. And you know, there's a lot of things that I look for in footprints when I do find footprints. I look at the toe depths. Are all the toes the same depth? Because if it's a human track, the way a person walks is your big toe is propulsion. That's what moves you forward. So in a human foot track, the big toe is always the deepest toe. The little toe is for balance, so it's the least depth. But in a Sasquatch track where their foot bends, they have all the toes are the same depth. So that's one of the first things I look for.
Or not shown at all, which I find a lot of. I get a lot of, if you were to look at half of my castings from the swamp, I don't think they like their toes getting in that swamp mud. I think they're kind of like us. Why would you want the mud between your toes if you don't have to? And I end up getting this right here. What 90% of the time on footprints, I find that pad and a heel. It almost looks like a boot print, but it's not. And the reason I can take that, measure that footprint, and almost, I bet you it's 95% of the time it's over 4 inches wide, the heel. And that's where I notice it a lot. With ours here, for sure, we get a lot of that footprint's wide in the heel. The heel is super wide to it. And even on a short footprint, like I have, a couple of 12 and 13-inch footprints that aren't gigantic, but the width of the heel too, man, it just really is what to me is what, like, that's my staple.
Yeah.
And because I don't get the toe spread a lot. I just get that kind of pad. So these footprints that I'm getting, they could be another 1.5 inches longer than what I'm measuring, but I'm just measuring the impression I see, you know?
And that's something too that a lot of new researchers have a lot of trouble with, is there is more stuff than just footprints, because you've got footprints, you've got impressions, and all this other stuff, scuff marks, and all this other stuff, and everything that they find. Oh, this is a footprint. And I'm like, dude, that's kind of an impression. You can't cast anything. Like if you find a grass print, okay, that's not really a print. You can photograph it and you can measure it and all that stuff, but within 24 hours, that grass is going to stand right back up and it's all gone. You can't cast it. All you can do is just, video.
That's where the 3D scans help. Doing those 3D scans are good for that. And I'll do that a lot. I do that a lot of times. Man, I lost so many of my 3D scans when I lost my other phone. But the 3D scans are really good for doing that. And we get a lot of them in like that in pine straw. Yeah. You try to do a cast in pine straw and it looks like a bunch of needles. They're going to be it's going to be a big mess. Yeah. It's a big mess. So, but a 3D scan, what's that?
I think Sasquatch is self-aware. I think they know that they make prints, and they try to limit the amount of prints that they leave,
especially in areas where we frequent.
Yeah, when you look at it, like pine straw, that's the perfect place to walk because you're not going to really leave an impression, because it's in that pine straw. And just as soon as it rains on that pine straw, it's going to raise back up, and there's nothing there. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that makes a lot of sense to me. And I work on that theory because there's some apes in Africa, actually some monkeys and some apes, baboons especially, and chimps. They're self-aware. They know that people will follow their footprints and hunt them. So now they walk on trees and rocks and things like that so they don't leave a print.
That's funny you say that because I've really started to, over the years, I've really, really noticed that in the areas that I call the kitchens or the living rooms, when I nickname them, areas that I think they're actively living at versus just passing through, those areas that surprisingly, I found some areas close to residential areas, but you get back into these areas and you'll start seeing a log here and then the next one's here. They're always touching. And then the next one's over here. They're always touching. And they're usually, it's you don't normally see acute angles, and you start seeing that out here, but they're always touching.
It's like the floor is lava.
Yeah, but think if you were. But what's funny too is all around that you'll see sticks. This one area, there's sticks everywhere. I couldn't walk through there without popping a stick and making a sound where one could hear me. But they can get on those logs, and with them padded feet, you won't hear a sound. And then I've started finding a lot of trees that lean at that. They're always almost the same angle. I've got to figure out what that angle is, but it's almost the same every time. And almost every time it's got that Y, it's catching right into another tree perfect where it's not going to fall. And if you were to walk up those leaners, I guarantee, like in one spot, if you were to walk up it, you'd be able to see where I come walking in every day. Every time I come walking in, you can see it from that spot. I guarantee it.
No, that's pretty interesting. Kind of like a tree stand.
Yeah. And how fast, if you're from that, you're in that area, man, they can go right up that, straight up that angle, like nothing. I have some.
How about at Colt Creek? That spot right behind the big group camp out?
Oh, yeah.
There's that perfect tree that looks right out over where there's a massive group
where everybody camps. And but like I was gonna say something else. I completely lost it.
Sorry.
No, you're fine. I just completely lost what I was gonna say. Oh, I have some old photos from when I started recording behind me, and I'm learning. I didn't know about Scott Carpenter when I was doing it at the time. I didn't know what he was doing, but I was doing my own version of that and didn't even know it. And it's such a genius way to do it. You're hearing something behind you. You take your cell phone, and every time I would have my phone out looking forward, I would hear stuff behind me. So I started recording and watching what's on my screen behind me and trying to get a view of it. And I go back and review that film, and I find things. Well, one of the things I started catching was them up in the air. I started I go by those trees that were like that, and I started catching shapes and up in the, and it's a blurry shape, but it's a conical head and shoulder. It looks like it's popping up, and it's gone. You'll look at it one frame, it's there. Next frame, it's gone. I've seen it where it's 2 or 3 of them up there doing it. It's like they're lookouts, and they're up there. I found them where there's 3 or 4 different types of trees up there, like blinds, like hunting blinds, where they pack them all in up there and make these blinds up there where you can't see them up there. It's pretty awesome.
And I tell you, the way you described that, where it pops its head up and it looks and it goes back down, and pops its head up, looks, go back down. When I was in boot camp for the United States Marine Corps, that's one of the things that they taught us is I'm up, they see me, I'm down. So that was what you did. Like if you was running during a firefight, I'm up, and you're running, they see me, and I'm down, and you get down.
Yeah.
That sounds exactly the same thing that they're doing. I'm up, they see me, and I'm down.
There's this one area that I have been going to since I've been gifting this area and going into it. I've done a lot back when I found the area before I was with Mid-Florida, and then I brought Mid-Florida into there, and we did a lot. I mean, you've heard a lot of things come out of this area if you've ever talked to Marie, and we've done a lot of stuff from this area. And I've just gotten back in there again. Our friend Ruby, who's still part of Mid-Florida, she's still a really good friend of ours, and we go out. She comes out with us and the kids a lot. She's been going to this area and gifting it since I moved. I'm an hour and 20 minutes away from it now. So I can't go in there like I used to do. I used to go in this place 2-3 times a week, and it was an easy place for me to get into. And whatever's back there was, I'm not saying they're coming out and hanging out with me, but they were very accepting and very curious of me back there. And I learned a ton from back there, sounds and noise and vocals, everything. I learned a lot of stuff from back there. And I'd go walking in and and it's just cool to get back in there now because everything's happening again. I'm starting to have the same type of things happening again. I saw how you started the show off with those footprints and things that I've been putting up recently. That's from that area. I've been working the gifting spot again. I put a jar of peanut butter up in the tree and came back 2 days later, it's gone. And I don't know I know raccoons got to the jar, but I don't know if they got to it before something else got to it. I don't know which one got to it first, but we've got rocks that Ruby's been putting out there. And this is where these things go from primate to totally different to me, because a primate's not going to really do this. And I just don't see it happening like this. I mean, it may, but this is something that's interacting with you at a different level. And Christina's the one that noticed what it was first. But like we were doing a live show. We had 4 teams that were going live with Stacy Brown. And Jason and Papa Squatch, they were one of them. And you had Jared Lowe and Banter and them from out in Massachusetts. And all of us were going live at the same time. And we went to this spot. I hadn't been there in forever. I happened to go there and I see the gifting spot and I see rocks stacked up. And I'm like, I'm on the phone with Ruby. I'm like, hey, what did this look like? Because I just showed up here and she sends me this picture and she had written out.
God wins.
God wins. She had written out. It was completely gone. Do you have a picture of it?
I'm looking.
Okay.
Trying to get it. Completely
gone. And then rearranged, and the rocks were stacked up 3 high. And I'm like,
wow.
And I showed her, and she's like, no, that wasn't me. Well, Christina moves one of the rocks, and it looks like mortar underneath it. It was mud. They had taken mud.
And the next one under it.
In between each one, there was mud to keep the rocks from falling over so they would stay there like mortar.
Wow.
It was the damnedest thing I've ever seen. I found so much intelligence back here in this area. This is one of the first things I found back here was a 30-foot long tripwire. And I don't know if I ever told you about that, but when I say tripwire, like it was a tripwire. It was a vine that was about 1.5 inches around or 1 inch around. And it was about, I would say, 30 to 40 foot long. There's a fence perimeter, okay? What it is it's owned by the county. And I got permission to go back there. The property's got a fence, and half of it, 3/4 of it's fenced in. The rest of it's been knocked down whatever, all the barbed wire is down, everything. But the fence backs up to the preserve, and the preserve's 10,000 acres. And the same preserve, it runs 7-8 miles away is where I grew up. But I just found a different place to come into it. But on this county property, it's about 2 acres big, a plot. And the fence line goes down, and I have little trails on each side where nobody goes back there. Then I go back. And this is back behind all that's where all this is happening. And but the county properties, it's not there. Nobody uses it. It's just a storage spot where they dump like extra. They only come there with dump trucks and dump like extra asphalt and limestone things for the roads. They just it's like a stockyard. They just dump mounds of dirt and stuff there, so nobody goes back there. And they come in with the dump loader, with the loaders, or the my brain's going too fast.
Yeah.
They come in with the dump trucks. They dump and they go. They don't even get out. So, and I've seen them do that. And we had cameras back there for about 6 months, and everything stopped back there for a while. But the only good thing out of the cameras was to let me see what happens back there. And there was no people. The only 2 people in 6 months were back there. One was a lady chasing her dog, and one was officers walking with a canine back there for some reason. I don't know what they were looking for. But so nobody goes back there. But that fence line, if you were going to take and put a tripwire, all right, so pretend you have this up here, narrow way, and all this is all lit with trees and everything leaning against the fence, where a deer would have to go funny. You have to jump over everything. And then this way, there's a small trail, and the rest is all bushes, this narrow trail where the deer come up. If you were to put a Squatch right there, you understand me? If you
Are
were
you following the map?
If you were to put a Squatch right where my finger's at, if you're running up from this way, running a deer this way, he'd only have to go. When he saw that Squatch, he's going to have to go that way. That's where the tripwire was. It was right there, cutting across 2.5 foot off the ground. It had 1.5 inches or so vine that was around one tree, went around another tree, and it had a stick about that long that was cranked into it and held the tension onto the stick, onto the to the tree.
Wow.
I was blown away. It was like watching some type of, like something Arnold Schwarzenegger would have made him Predator. Like, yeah. You got it, baby.
All right, we got another question here from Thomas. Mr. Steenberg wants to know, is the strong odor reported a common thing in Florida, or is it like Sasquatch? As I find them, it's more of a rare thing. So do you think the odor is more prominent in Florida, or is it more of a rare thing?
Honestly, I think it's more rare. We've got it. We've definitely hit it. And when it hits you, Christina smelt it.
Oh yeah. I didn't dealt it.
Woo. Also, I think there's different variances of it too. There's one part of the one area that we go into, and I swear, man, we walked right into where they had marked everything. It was the most pungent smelling urine stink. If it was more of a urine smell than it was the typical Sasquatch or skunk ape smell. It was like a mixture of that with a real strong urine. It was so strong. It was like we walked right into where they had been marking everything. And wow. And that's the same area where I'd had that tree get pushed over at me. I told you about a while back. And that was that same area. And I haven't been in there in a long time. We're starting to get back into areas we hadn't been in a while, even though we got towed the last time we went there.
Yeah.
It's a tough subject.
Yeah. Well, the only way to get into this place, the only way to get into it is to park on the side of a major interstate.
Yeah.
And you got to park your vehicle back in and kind of hide. And I've been parking there for years, and all of a sudden, that was a day. Apparently, a trooper decided to come over and say our vehicle was abandoned. He didn't look up the license plate, didn't think to call anybody. He just automatically towed it. Didn't put a sticker on it, didn't say he had 24 hours, do not pass go. He just sent it. We were only in there for 3 hours. Came back and it was gone. So 4 of us were sitting there on the side of the interstate with nowhere to go, no ride. We were pissed.
The same thing happened to Gilligan. Remember, it was only a 3-hour tour.
Yeah, a lot can happen in 3 hours.
Yeah, boy.
Oh, Christina's got the rocks for you.
Yeah, I'll just show everybody real quick. So this is where are we at? Can you see that? Color lighting.
Yeah.
Okay, where it says
That's what Ruby left.
God wins with the rake and all the little glow in the dark beads.
Yeah.
And then trying to find like a zoom. Wait, where is that?
Right there. Yeah.
So that's
Like
how it
little rock
was. But then,
Then when you started moving them,
yeah, I'm trying to get that glare because there's somebody's shining a flashlight because it was at night.
Oh yeah.
You can see where I picked up the one rock and underneath it was that. And look at the design even in the mortar, shall we call it? The mud. It was wild. And so in between each rock, there was actually some in there.
so we rearranged them that day. And my kids and I, when we went back last time, we rearranged them again with Ruby. She met us out there and we went in there and
So that's how we left it that night. If you can see that, there's a heart, rake, all that.
And we went back again. I just recently went back and it was all rearranged again. And the mud was completely different again in the middle. More mud in the middle, stacked up 3 high again. And they were down one level. And now they were back to 3 levels, 2 levels. It's odd.
And nobody goes back there. You don't even know it's there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just odd. If you see these, a lot of these videos lately I've been putting up have been coming from that area, and it's been cool to get back there. It's like reminiscing with my old friends.
Yeah.
Like
I know what you mean.
I truly believe that they get comfortable with certain people being in their areas, and if they allow you back there, you're one of the special ones, you know. And I believe me and my kids and the people I brought back there have been lucky enough to have it. Our friend Mike saw something back there he wasn't sure about, and he didn't like it. We had to go back. We had to go back after the live show because someone left the thermal camera out there.
Mm-hmm.
And so we go back to grab it, and Mike's walking off, and he pulled his pistol out.
He told us to leave.
He's like, go now.
Just go, guys.
He don't know what he saw.
Oh,
He saw something that freaked him out. It wasn't being aggressive. It was just leaning against a tree, and he saw the breath come out from it, and it startled him. And I don't know what he saw. And I said, well, at least it wasn't being aggressive. It was just looking at you.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
I mean, I was like, it took him a little while to process it, like it startled him pretty good.
We did several expeditions at this one property in Spotsylvania County, Virginia. Rocket Cat Squatch, you were there. You know how weird it was. But there was so much stuff that happened. Like the first day that I got there was so much stuff that was going on at one time. I couldn't process it all. I just kind of shut down for a minute because I could not get my head wrapped around all the activity that was going on, all the weird things that were happening. And it was that way the entire time that we was there. Anything that you can think of that was Bigfoot related, it happened there. And that was just incredible. And like I said, when you get into a situation like that, when you have all that information coming in at one time, you got to take a step back and like, whoa, I got to get this straight. And, people that are like used to high stress situations, they can handle something like that, I think, a little bit better than somebody that's not as accustomed to it. I think it all depends on the person. Everybody's going to react a little different. Like when I had my encounter, there was a guy in the vehicle with me when it happened, and he doesn't talk about it. And that's fine. I saw it. I know he saw it. It was standing at the end of the bumper on my Jeep. Okay, a singles cab Jeep Wrangler. Okay, and it was standing at the bumper. And it walked across and it looked down at us as it went by. We don't talk about it. I mean, he was tore up. So I understand, different people react different ways.
I still question my friend Jason, who was with me on my very first. He's that way, and he swears he didn't see it. But I'm like, you're a very observant guy. He's a hunter, and he said he was looking out the window and never saw it. I'll believe him. But I still always question it. Like, how'd you not see that thing walk in front of us? Like, I saw it clear as day. It changed my life. But maybe he didn't see it. Maybe that's why.
I kind of think that may be a protection thing. That, some people, when they see something, especially like a hunter, okay? Hunters, when you're a hunter, it's just not a hobby, okay? Because I'm just going to be honest with you. If it was a hobby, nobody would do it because it's expensive. So you have firearms, bows, muzzle loaders, you get ammunition, all that stuff. It is not a cheap sport. Then you have to get tags and licenses and all that other stuff. So for somebody that's a hunter, it's kind of, it's kind of like it's got to be part of who you are to do that. And I think a lot of hunters will deny what they saw or say it was something else, because if that's really what they saw, then there goes a part of it. I can't go back in the woods because there's this big huge thing back there. Whereas before, he was the huge thing back there. So that's a good possibility.
Yeah. I don't know if he'll ever tell me 100%, but whatever. I know what I saw that day, and it just did something to me. I couldn't even hardly fish. I was thinking about that all day. Like, what in the hell was this big, tall, cinnamon-colored thing I saw walk across the street? And I was supposed to see him that day, and for whatever reason, I'm supposed to be on this crazy ride, and I don't know 100% what it is yet. I've had a lot of different things happen, but it's a crazy ride, and now I got a partner driving with me, and I got my family's involved, Oh, that's the other thing I didn't get to tell you. You might recognize a couple of these people. I don't know if you've gotten to see who all, we got a pretty awesome, we got a two-sided team. I said we got me, her, and my two kids and her two children. And we've also got more of the legit research team too, which is me, her. Do you know who RPG is?
Yes.
All right. RPG is part of our team. One of my best friends. Phenomenal guy. Yeah. He's part of SquatchinFL. He's an awesome dude. He's such a good promoter of it too, man. He's the I love listening to him talk. Like, he's such a motivator, and he's so good at promoting everybody at the conferences. And it's been really cool to have him as part of our team also, because he's a great team member. And he's learning more of the getting out and being more of the actual researcher now with us too. And he's doing that. And we're learning how to do the media side of it from him, and he's learning the researching side from us and getting out. But he has 4 kids, and 3 of them are very active, like to be outdoors too. So we're doing another kind of angle with that. We've been doing filming and some things and getting the kids involved more on that. Mm-hmm. But then you've also got Frank Middleton. If you know Frank Middleton.
I don't think I know him.
Frank is a BFRO investigator. He lives down close to Miami. Frank is he's been around for a while. He's very, very good. Ex-military. He travels. He travels and he camps a lot. I think he said how many days? I forgot how many days a year he camps out, but it's ridiculous. But he goes on a lot of trips, man. He goes all over the place. He's an experiencer and researcher, but he's actually a co-host of the Unredacted podcast right now. He's helping out. Mm-hmm. He's helping on that right now. He's become the co-host of that. Then you've got Mike Noga, who is an experiencer that's turned researcher. We met him up here. He reached out to me and Frank, because Frank's on the BFRO, and Frank's like, "Hey, I got this guy I'd like you to meet," and we kind of met, and me and Mike have become really good friends. He's a super nice guy. He's a big guy, like the size of a Sasquatch. And but he's pretty fearless, and well, I'm have to check that now after that last sighting. We'll have to see how fearless he is next time. But he had some things happen in the areas that he showed us, the areas that led directly to the other areas that we've been having a lot of stuff happen up here that are close to home. And then you've got Robert Brooks, who is a cave locating expert for the state of Florida. He works for Citrus County, but this guy, he found me because he had experiences. Not many people know how many caves are in Florida. I didn't realize how many. I knew there were some up this way. I know about the ones all the tourists know about, but I didn't know about the 2,000 other ones that he'd found up here. And so you got where we're at, the corridor goes like that, down the Florida line and cuts over. We're right in the middle where it cuts over. You go to the west, and you've got natural springs out in the middle of the Withlacoochee Forest, natural springs that go down 160 feet, which Robert dives. This guy just runs out in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of the forest, jumps into these springs and goes down 160 feet into them. Man,
nope.
Just walking to them is crazy. We did a 10-mile hike one day with this guy. He's just, all right, let's go. And but then you've got Matt Langford. That's our Texas connection, Matt Langford. If you've heard of Matt, Matt's an awesome guy. Incredible guy. You will not meet a guy who is more behind you as a teammate. He is there for you always. And he's our connection out of Florida. Freaking awesome guy. Phyllis Cesar is our medium, and oh my God, my brain. What's the word? Psychic. There you go. She's a psychic and a medium. So she's a really good friend of ours, friend of our family. She actually helped me with this when I first started getting into it. I actually met this woman randomly at a conference, and she just came up and said, "I have something I have to give you." And I'm like, "What?" And it was a gift.
Excuse me.
No problem. She held my hand and told me she had a gift to give me, that it was going to help me with my dreams. And I about, what? Like, how the heck did you know what was going on with my head, you know? And fast forward a few years later, now she's another part of our team. So we've got an awesome group of people that someone's out doing something somewhere all the time. And we all, connect with each other, and we don't get together all the time because it's been only a few months since we started the group. It's only been about 4 months now. About 4 months. About 4 months since we started the team. You're in the hottest part of the year for Florida, so it's not camping season.
Yeah.
So we're about to get into our camping season. Don't die on us over there, man.
Yeah, I've got some kind of summertime crud, and it's down into my chest. And last week it was a lot worse. I'll tell you that.
Summertime ones are the worst.
Yeah. Lord have mercy. But yeah, I'm getting choked up. So I'm trying to get over it.
Forgot to tell my son that I was doing a podcast. He was trying to call.
I'll text him.
All right, thank you.
I'm going to hop in here, and we're going to get to some photos real quick, if I can get them.
Some of them are some blurry photos, but they're interesting blurry photos.
I'm going to try to start this video first if I can.
Oh, yeah, the video's cool. For like 2 years. I was going back to some old videos. What's that?
You got to go back to the beginning because you was talking while it was playing. The mics are muted when it's playing.
Oh, sorry.
That's all right. So what was you saying?
That video was from like 2019, 2020, something like that. But I sat on it. I didn't even know that was there for like 2 years until I was going back to some of my videos and just happened to be scrubbing through some. And I went, what in the world is that? And I saw that because I'm a horrible video guy. And I'm so ADHD that when I walk, I move to where I look. And when you got something like them who are moving to your body movements, which I really think that's how they move, as soon as they see me move, they're already reacting.
Well, yeah, they're trying not to be seen.
Right. So I walk by, a lot of times I walk by something, I'll look back because I hear something, you know? And that's what I did, I think, that day. I had heard something, and I got followed in this area all the time. But you see it. Whatever it is there. It's blurry, but he's there. And in the last frame, you see him. It's like he came out and went, uh-oh, and went back. The last frame, you see him kind of turn and go back. You see his shoulder literally go, whoop, and he goes in.
Ready to mention that. Now, I'll say this. I can't definitively say that that's a Sasquatch. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because, you know, it's like you said, it is kind of a rough video or whatever. But I will tell you this. I've watched this video 5 or 6 times today. Okay. And when you're watching the video, you definitely see it turn and move.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. It's not a black bear. Okay. I'll tell you that.
Its shoulders are like this.
When a black bear stands up on 2 feet, a black bear is really tubular. They do not have shoulders at all.
Yeah.
Based on the way that they walk, they do not have shoulders. They look round. When that thing turns, you can see its shoulders.
Yeah. And it wasn't super tall. It wasn't super tall. To me, I think it was a juvenile, a teenager, if you will. I think the teenagers are the ones that get the most curiosity out of.
And you know, I think that's a pretty common. I think that's a pretty common thing everywhere. It seems like the younger Sasquatch is what you get the most activity from.
Mm-hmm.
And like I think, like the aggressive part, like I got a personal theory about rock throwing. If something's throwing rocks at me, I stop right there. I do not go forward, and I try to get out of the way. I back out of the area because that is the minimum level of aggression that you're going to get. It just threw a rock at you.
Yeah.
And it's saying, "Hey, not here." And I think, you know, a lot of researchers are like, "Oh, let's go," and they run forward to it. I think you're only inviting more aggression when you do that. So it may go from rock throwing to it's going to rip your arm off and beat you to death with the wet end of it. So,
but you can tell whatever that was being curious of me, not being aggressive. I've had the aggressive, and I don't want no part of aggressive with them. I don't like it. It's a very terrifying thing if you get one of them being aggressive with you. Like that tree getting shaken and pushed over, and that sound that thing made, one of the most terrifying. That was a big alpha. I know it was. And I people say, how can you know? It was like, because because that had to be. So the sound that thing made and the way he shook that tree that was 40, 50 foot tall and that big around, like it was nothing, and that scream when it pushed it over and you're crack, 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 and it fall. Dude, that thing, he was 800, 900 pounds. He was huge. And he matched the footprints that I found out there, which were 19. They were 19 and 3/4. I think they were 19 and 3/4 by 10 inches wide. He's a big dude. The mud squish, which I have those footprints in there actually. I gave them to you in those.
Yeah, I got a bunch of photos we're going to go through, and I'll get you to explain each one of them as we go through them.
You see the photo. There's a photo with mud squishing up out of the heel, and there's a grass one. Those two were right in front of each other, step and step. They were 19 and change each. That's a different one. That's at my gifting spot. That's for Reese's. That's about 20 yards away from the gifting spot. I found the two wrappers and the footprint. There's another one that shows that footprint without the highlight around it. I just did that so you can see it because it's an impression. It's in that substrate that's leafy and you can't hardly see it until you see it, you know. But There's
I'm
also
trying
a
to
black
find- man,
hair.
they just shrunk these down on these thumbnails so bad I can't hardly see them. I've had to put my
Well, it was
on glasses on and everything.
It was two wrappers that were opened up in the same. He walked off with two of the Reese's and opened them. And when he was standing there, left a footprint as he was walking off into a softer spot. One of those wrappers, the one on the right, had a black hair that was 3 inches long on it.
Okay, I do have a picture of that right here.
Yep. That's the hair that's the hair off of that wrapper.
Mm-hmm. Now, if you're leaving Reese cups in the woods, my wife's probably going to start following you around. That's her favorite food. She loves it.
Well, I figured years ago, I said, all right, if peanut butter is what they like, who doesn't like peanut butter and chocolate together, for one? And the bright orange wrappers, if they walk off with them, you're going to find the bright orange wrapper pretty easy. And it worked. Yep. And, dude, I'm telling you, I had some Sasquatch back there that were like, it was like crack to them. I had moments where I would walk in. I had two gifting spots. I'd walk in, put my Reese's there. I'd start hearing things. I'd go walk over to my other gifting spot, come back, and then one would be gone already. Wrapper already gone. Like, what? And it was getting wild back there for a while when I was in there all the time.
Yeah. That's when you think about it, peanut butter is a huge draw. Just about everything in the forest.
Yeah.
And I think that's the Reese cups, like you said, that's an excellent idea because you got the orange wrapper and you physically have to open it up to get to it. So there's an opportunity if there's going to be hair stuck to it or something like that. And you're going to be able to tell too if it's being like a raccoon or squirrel,
right,
some type of rodent or something like that, because you're going to see where they've chewed on it.
Right.
Get it open. Versus
I've got you know how sometimes they come in the long ones where there'll be like 3 or 4 of them in that package?
A king size?
A king size one. I put one of them out, came back, and it was gone. All right, I found it. I found the white part that was underneath it and the wrapper in another spot. What they did is he took the whole thing and went, it looked like a big person's mouth, that perfect shape. And he went and opened it like that. He just opened it. That's how he opened it. I got a picture of that somewhere. And I was like, if I would have had the resources back then, which I didn't have, I actually saved it for a while, but I ended up losing it. But I don't remember what happened. But I just figured I never was going to be able to have it, the DNA tested on it. But I bet you there was saliva on that because he literally just went and bit it. Like it looked like a person with a mouth another half size bigger than mine bit it. It was really neat.
Well, let's go to this one right here, and you can explain this one a little bit.
All right. It's a blurry photo. There's actually another photo that kind of goes with that picture also. So you see that's a tree that's to the left. Well, whatever that is looking out at me, the frame before that, there's another picture I have that's a frame before that. It looks like he's white with a black face and a black chest. He's white with a black face, black chest. He's got, there's a frame before that. This is off a video. I came walking in and it was raining when I came walking in. This is my gifting area. And I came walking in and it was thunderstorm going on lightly. And I think the sound of the rain masked my sound and they never knew I was coming. And I came around the corner and it sounded like a herd of elephants taking off. Just blah, 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 cracking and everything taking off. And I'm like, oh my God. And I was on the video and I went back through the video and slowed it down with my friend Tim. And he's like, Mike, you got to see some of the images that I caught on here. And they're blurry, but there was at least, there might have been 2 of them in that picture. One was turning to go back and the other one was peeking from behind the tree. But the frame before that, he's on all 4s, it looks like, on his knuckles almost. The same figure with a black face and white. And then you go frame up, and he's behind the tree looking at me. Like, what the heck? I love you too.
You got talking about them Reese cups, and Christina had to go get a snack.
Snack? A liquid snack?
What? Call me out. I got you one.
Oh, you did?
You jerk.
Oh, I take that back.
just for the guys in the chat, I know we've got a lot going on in the chat. The chat's blowing up tonight.
Oh,
I'm in a different section in the chat, so if I missed your comment or something like that, give me a minute and I'll go back through everything and get everything sorted back out.
yeah, I'll take time and answer whatever anybody wants to know.
And here's the next picture that's in the queue.
Yeah, it's going to be hard to see because it's so small it is, but right where the tip of that point is, there's a fern. That fern's the two little fork of that fern is almost poking that thing in the nose. There's a face there, and he's looking at me. I have another picture where you can see more of him. You see his head, but then there's a tree, and then I think it's the same color here as over here. But if you, man, I wish I had the technology. But whatever's in that picture, I'm not going to tell you 100% that's what it is, but there is something in that picture that's not in the next picture. And this is way before AI stuff happened.
One right here that says there, and then it's gone here. See?
Right. That's another frame later. Like you're going through, you got to remember, I'm getting these off of videos, old school, off my phone going click, 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 pausing frame by frame, you know?
Yep.
Going click, 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 like the old school way.
Old school, yeah.
Yeah.
Old school.
And then screenshot, click, click, screenshot, click, click, screenshot. And so, you know, I see it clear as day. Not everybody's going to see it. Some people seen him and they said, oh my God, I see his face. On the zoomed in one, I swear you can see his tongue going. And he's like this. Looking at me.
That's something that I say too about photo evidence. With AI and everything, anything video or photo evidence is going to be questionable now.
Oh,
with
yeah.
all this AI stuff. But when you're looking at a photo and somebody's saying, okay, right here, this is what it was. It was right here, blah, blah, this, blah, blah, that. Now, I can look at that video or that picture and not see it. Now, I'm not going to say that the person that took that video or took that photo didn't see something because I wasn't there. I don't know. And just to be honest with you, everybody talks about, well, why didn't you take a picture of it with your cell phone? Why didn't you take a picture of it with your cell phone? And to be honest with you, yeah, you can take a picture of it with your cell phone, but a cell phone is a really low resolution camera. They're not a good camera.
Especially when you zoom.
It's great if you're going to take a picture of a plate of spaghetti to post on your Facebook, whatever they do. Why people take pictures of their food, I'll never know. But
well, you'll see a video that I just put up literally today. And what happened was the other day, me and my son and my daughter were in the Jeep, and Christina and the kids were behind me. And we were going to go fishing and squatching together. We have a spot that we'd had some stuff happen. You got to drive down this trail that takes you back down this road to where the river's at, where we like to fish. And we've had stuff happen back there. Kylie saw something back there. And so the last time I was there was a tree that was blocking the trail. So I went around it. It was pretty easy to go around. And I just had to cut down a couple bushes and I was able to go around it. This time I go to go back with her and a thunderstorm starting to roll in. And there's a tree, 50-foot tall tree now over the top of it, over the top of the other tree. And it's exactly where I had driven through is blocked off. Now, God, it would take the amount of strength it would take to push this size tree over. It had to be a coincidence. It had to be. But it's just the weirdness of it, where it happened. Well, my son, I get out and I'm looking at it and I'm looking around. And my son's in the Jeep recording, just watching. And he gets out and he's like recording, looking around and stuff. And he zooms and he sees something. And I didn't even know he saw anything. You can go back and look at this video later now and you'll see what I'm talking about. I made a little video and I circled it and you can see it where there's something back behind me. But you see me come walking up, and I'm not blurry, right? I'm not a blurry person. But my son's video of me is blurry as hell. I'm walking. You're trying to get something alive, moving from a distance, zoomed in, you know? And it's not going to work. But you see me blurry come walking up, and you still see that figure behind there, and I've got it circled with an arrow pointing at it. But then I attached the rest of the video, his other video, I attached to it and made it one video. And you can see he's like, Dad, it's gone. Dad, it's gone. And like whatever it was, I had one guy make a comment. He said, oh, it's somebody in a jacket with a hood. And I'm like, well, you're seeing something too then. You know, I'm not telling you that's what it was. But I don't know how somebody was out there in the middle of nowhere with a jacket and a hood and standing in the rain watching me back where we were at. But something was sitting there, and it's got a fuzz about it, almost like it's hair.
Well, there's no other vehicles out there.
No other vehicle.
There's nobody there.
And,
Right.
you know, that's something, too. You know, you mentioned coincidence. Okay, coincidence is a possibility. You know what I'm saying? Now, here's this big tree that just fell over right where I drove through. Coincidence. It's not coincidental when, you know, there's the tree that's been pushed over right where you drove through at, and some type of unknown image is picked up in the video. That's not coincidence. You know?
And if you were to go a quarter mile down the road, half a mile down the trail, there's another entrance into the trail. And you start going down, and there's another tree blocking it on that side. So just this one section, right where Kylie had the visual. What happened was Kylie was in the back of the Jeep. Me and Kalen stopped on our way to go fishing. We went back to get his fishing pole that he had left. He left his fishing pole out there the day before. So on the way home, we made a quick trip in there. I parked the Jeep. It's raining outside. It was like kind of sprinkling. So, you know, the back windows get kind of foggy when it's rainy and dewy out. I parked the Jeep. Kylie was just waking up from a nap. So she was kind of, oh, this is our fearless cat right here.
You want to say hi? Little Miss Misty. She's so pretty. Sorry.
So it's an adult show. I'm going to be nice. We go walking in, or we go driving in. We were, like I said, we went around that tree that had been falling over the little tree. And in the video, you can see it. There's a big tree like this and a little tree below it. The little tree was where it was before. So we go driving in. I parked next to a big tree break. Kaylin goes, that wasn't there last time we were here. And this tree is up leaning against the tree. And it's about a 40-foot tall tree. And I remember seeing it there last time we were there, because I'm usually pretty observant. And I'm like, let's sit down and look at it. Kylie's like, well, are we here, Daddy? And I'm like, yeah, we're here, baby. We're just jumping out to look at something real quick. Give me a minute. Me and Kaylin got out while she was kind of waking up and walking around. It's an open flood area is what it is. Where Cypress, where it floods on extreme like hurricanes and stuff. And the water's down now. So you see all the way through it. It's not super dense, but we're walking around, me and Kaylin looking, we start seeing other trees and stuff. So we start drifting over here now, looking at these. I come back about 8 to 10 minutes later, and Kylie's crying. I'm like, Kylie, what's wrong? She's like, Daddy, I saw something. I saw one. I'm like, what? She's like, I saw something. It walked from behind the Jeep this way. I was like, you sure? She's like, Daddy, I saw something. It was bigger than you, and it walked towards you and Kaylin from the bushes. So I don't think anything knew she was in the vehicle. And I think this thing's territory, we're right in the middle of it. And it's very curious of us. And I think it walked over, because they do that. They're quick, man. And I swear I think he came across the back of the truck. She happened to see it. It went right over to one of those cypress trees and was hiding there watching what me and Kaylin were doing. I go back. We go over there. We have to keep going down the road about another 3 or 4 blocks, and I park. Kaylin goes running over to where his fishing pole was. He likes to always run down. He carries 2 or 3 fishing poles with him, and he likes to go down about 10 or 15 yards farther down away from me. He always likes to, for some reason, he don't ever fish next to me. He always likes to be on his own little spot. Well, he left one of his poles laying in the woods because he had, it was getting dark the night before. As we were leaving, I'm joking around right where I come walking in. I had 4 hot dogs left because we were using them for bait for some of the catfish out there. And I held up the hot dogs and I said, all right, guys, these are for you. I put them on the log. We left. And then fast forward the next day, we come in there. Kaylin runs over to his spot. Dad, the pole's gone. It's not here. I'm like, what? I said, how's that possible? So he went that way. I have to walk this way to go to where we walk in to go down to the river. I go walking in. That damn fishing pole standing right in front of where I walk in. Standing just like that, leaning against a cypress knee. The cypress knee was next to where the hot dogs were. Also where I had found a footprint that I took a cast out of. Mm-hmm. That fishing pole, there's no way in hell. Fishing poles don't weigh that much. We had a severe thunderstorm roll in just 30 minutes before we got there. It would have blown over if he had forgotten it there. I went back and looked at video of it. It wasn't there. I saw the video because I had my GoPro going, And I could see when we left, I was saying, all right, guys, we're leaving, saying goodbye and everything. And I could see that cypress knee. It wasn't there. Something moved that fishing pole over to right next to where the hot dogs were. And it was standing up just like that. Like it was put there. All right, they'll come back and come grab it from, I know where they're at. I know where they'll come back and grab it from right there.
Me and you talked about that the other day too. And it's, it's wild. You're like, okay, here's some hot dogs, set them down. And they're like, oh, well, he gave us some hot dogs. Let's get that fishing pole and bring it over here.
Yeah.
And, stuff like that, like I said, that's not a coincidence. That's the first thing that somebody that's super skeptical or whatever, it's the first thing you say, oh, well, that's just coincidence, or oh, that's just this, or oh, that's just that. But
I do that to them nonstop. Yeah. All day, every day.
Yes.
I give them that side. I'm not saying I'm a skeptic, but we try to debunk everything.
Well, you have to. And
absolutely.
Like for me, based on my experiences, my sighting, the things that have happened to me and things that I have witnessed myself, I believe that Bigfoot is a terrestrial animal. It's some type of animal that's been here probably longer than we have. And, it's just not really evolved like we did. Now, with that being said, it could be some type of hominid, some type of relic hominid, something that's left over, something like that. It could be some type of hybrid, like a hominoid hybrid. And, you'll see a lot of people that, when they do DNA testing and things like that, it comes back and says, oh, it's contaminated with human DNA. So we couldn't do the sample. It's contaminated with human DNA. But if it's some type of hominid hybrid, the possibilities of it having some human DNA are astronomical, And there's all kinds of Native American stories about Bigfoot taking women and breeding with them and having offspring. So the point I'm trying to make, long story longer, I guess, is when you get into thinking about different thought patterns, that seems really human. Okay, here's your fishing pole. We took the hot dogs. That seems really human, but I see a huge amount of animal intelligence when it comes to Sasquatch. I don't really see human intelligence because I don't see any type of tool making. Now, they're using tools. They're picking up sticks and doing things with sticks like that, but they're not necessarily shaping the stick in a particular way or anything like that. The tripwire thing, that blows me away because I've never seen anything like that. I would love to see something like that.
I will find. I'm going back through all my old Google photos and videos and everything. I've been going like video at a time, trying to find things and going back. I'm not worried about my reputation like I used to be years ago, per se. You know what I mean? Like, I don't really care what somebody thinks. I have my own group now. I have my own team. If I want to post something and you can tell me if you don't think it's real or not, I don't care. I'm going to post it if I want to post it and let you choose or let you decide. And that's kind of where I'm at on that. And it took me a long time to get like that. I used to be like, well, people are making fun of me and this and that. I don't care anymore.
That's the thing. And I say it all the time. I don't have anything to prove.
Yeah.
I saw what I saw. I don't have anything to prove.
Yeah.
But that's not really, and I'm gonna be 100% honest with you that that's not true, because I want to prove it. I want people to understand. I want to understand what I saw.
Yeah.
Okay, I can't explain it. I want to know everything that I know about it. So I don't care. I don't have nothing to prove. But
you were deep down, you do.
Yeah, yeah, and I think that's kind of the big draw for a lot of people that do this type of research. Everybody that does Sasquatch research, look, you've been called a nut. You're crazy. You guys are nothing but a bunch of hoaxers. Oh man, you must have been out there smoking the good stuff. You know what I'm saying? And listen,
there's a damn lot of us that are smoking the good stuff.
That's the thing. When I had my encounter, I worked for the Virginia Department of Corrections. I was a corrections sergeant. I was a supervisor, and I had another corrections sergeant in a car with me when we saw it. There wasn't nothing getting smoked. We was on our way to work, 4:30 in the morning.
I've had more people come to me and talk to me that are ex-military, firefighters, police officers, a judge. I've had people that are in all the highest rankings in our civilization, just about, other than the president. But like what I'm saying, like.
So here's the thing, though. We don't got to prove it to like the non-believers. You know what I mean? Like those aren't the people that you're trying to get after and trying to change their mind. You're trying to do it for the well-being and, the future and the preservation and everything like that. Not because somebody's calling you an idiot. Like that's not the reason why,
You're not going to change some people's way of thinking.
And that's why it's like, I'm not going to try to convince you that I saw what I saw or this is that. That's not what it's about. Like those people, that's not what it's about. I'm just saying.
There are some people, you hit them in the face with a pie, they say that you hit them with an apple. I mean,
yeah. That was really well said, Christina. I like that.
Yeah.
That's the truth. That was really well said. All right, we're going to move on here. I'm going to hit this other photo right here. And this is like, God, I hate this computer. Jeez. This is the location where you and your son had the sighting, I think, where it was on 2 feet and then went to 4 feet and then back up to 2.
Yes. Yep. Right where my head's at is just about where my head's at is where it was standing. You can see that kind of burnt grass or the laid down grass. That's a trail right through there.
Yep.
And it's hard to tell, but it's almost like a valley back there. And this is an old area where there's cave systems back there. And that's Kylie and Christina. They were behind me. Somehow they didn't see it. Like, it sucks. I don't know how they didn't, but it was the way it happened, because you got to kind of come around the curve to come into there. And as you came around the curve, they were still back behind the trees. And I came into that open grass and he was there. And it wasn't no damn bear. Bears stand, she always laughs at me because I say bears
gangly.
They do that funny stance, with their hands up. They can't put their arms down. They don't do that. They put them up like that. And this thing was standing there with square shoulders, staring at me. And my son, I stopped and he ran into me. He ran into my butt. And he's like, Dad. And I'm like, oh my God. And I grabbed him. I pick him up and he goes, oh my God. And that was about the time he saw him going to all fours. And he went to all fours. Dude, that thing moved faster than anything I've ever seen in my life, the way that thing moved. It was incredible. It was really cool.
I've heard that a lot. Look, it's fast on 2 feet. Okay, I'm just going to tell you that now. It covers a tremendous amount of ground. But I have heard from so many people that when it's running and it drops down to all fours and starts running on all fours, they say it's like the turbo kicked in. They said it goes from fast to like warp speed.
Dude, all my son said he saw was these black shoulders and a black butt that you could see going. And it didn't matter what, he just plowed through everything as he went up the hill. And then my son's last thing we both saw was him when he went to that hill as it started to go up, he went back to 2 legs and went straight up it on 2 legs, like, you know what I mean? Like going up.
Yeah. Did you hear that? Did you hear his feet?
Yeah. I've never, hey, look, I do the same thing. I can't help it. I'm bad for that. But yeah, the 4 feet thing, I've never seen that. And the spider crawl thing, I've never seen that.
Yeah. I haven't seen that, but I did see a thermal one time I couldn't explain. I saw a thermal image that looked like something sprawled out on the floor. That was weird.
Yeah.
But that thing, the way he went from, he was looking at me and he just was, and this all happened in a matter of 4 seconds, and he's looking at me and it's like I made eye contact with him and he turned and he was like, oh shit. And he took 1, 2, and on the 3rd step went down to all fours. And the way he moved, it was so fluid. It was like not even close to what even a bear, when they come down, how they get goofy as they go down. This thing, there's no other way to explain it. The way he moved, it was just incredible. And his hair, I had seen another one. I had another encounter where I had seen one that looked mangy and greasy hair, and like he'd been in the swamp. This was in the green swamp where I saw that one, and it almost looked dready, almost like dready looking. It was clumpy, and he'd been in the swamp. He looked like he was in the swamp. This thing looked like there's no swamp in this area. There's caves, and it's high ground, and it's springs, and it looked like his hair was brushed and blow dried. Like, it was beautiful. His hair was black, and it was almost had a sheen to it. It was beautiful. And he was about 5.5, 6 foot tall. I'm going to guess about 300 pounds. A teenager, again. You know, he matches that footprint that my daughter found. Well, I didn't even get a chance to get into that. We'll have to get out of here in a minute because I know you want more pictures.
He's going through the pictures.
We're going through the pictures. We got to get into her sighting, her first sighting ever.
No, but in the area, I think this is important to add in that where we came walking around the corner, and it's all tall sawgrass. So if you don't want to be seen, what are you going to do? You're going to duck down, right? So that you're less visible. So, and you know, you duck down, then you haul ass.
The only reason we
get back up and go where you got to go.
The only reason we were back there is because I was letting a footprint dry.
Yes.
I had called her to come meet me because I brought the kids, because this was on a Monday. That Friday, we had a sighting as a family with me, her, and her 2 children. But my kids were jealous. So that Monday, I picked them up from a half day at school, and I'm like, hey, y'all want to go over there to where we had the sighting and go look around with me? They're like, yeah. We go back there. My daughter finds a trackway of these like 10 3/4 inch long footprints, 10.5 inch long, something like that, long footprints, but they were wide. She finds them, and I call her. I'm like, hey, we've got footprints for real. I don't have nothing here. Can you come up and we can do a cast of them? She's like, sure. So she comes up. It's about 20 minutes from our house, and we made the footprint cast, and we're letting it dry. And I'm like, about an hour before dark, I'm like, let's go for a hike, let it dry. We'll come back and grab it on the way out. And we got lost. Well, I got lost. I got turned around, and it was starting to get dark. So I said, you know what? We don't have time to go around. I missed the trail. We're just going to have to beeline it through the hill, go over the hills and go direct the fastest route. And that's what happened. I went, you go over this hill that's 100 foot tall, which is big for Florida. You go over this hill and it goes down into this valley, and each side of it was like a hidden little area. And that's where he was at. I would have never found it if it wasn't by accident.
Yeah. I mean, hey, I'd rather be lucky as good any day.
Oh, yeah.
All right, we're going to go to this next photo here.
That's the more close up version of that, he was here and then he was gone.
Mm-hmm.
If someone were to take and screenshot that and zoom it in, they'll see what I'm talking about.
I can kind of see the long end of that leaf. It kind of looks like a nose right there.
That's a rounded nose.
Yeah.
All right. Now, now there's another little one that's aiming down, a leaf that's aiming down. That's where his eye would be. And you see the hair, and that hair matches the hair on the other side of that tree. He's behind it, squatted. He's squatted down behind it like this, looking at me. If you look on that side of his face, you can almost see what I'm talking about. He's going.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah. Yeah, kind of.
Now,
one thing I think that's important is like when you're looking at evidence, right? You don't always look for the out of place stuff. Oh, well, this shouldn't be here. What you want to look for is like obvious stuff, but it's in an out of place area. So like if you look around all the way around right through there, there's obviously a lot of foliage. I can see some old man's beard hanging from the tree back there. The big ferns right there, or maybe that's palmetto.
And then something in the middle of all of it.
That's black.
She laughs at me because I said the color of their skin is like a blue tortilla chip.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost that aborigine purplish black color, their skin. And it was the same color as the one I saw in the green swamp when I hit him with my headlamp. And I was only 15 foot from him. And when I lit him up, he had his back to me. But that LED light, when it went through his hair, you could see his skin. And I was like, oh my God, he's almost black purple, like same like that guy. So
like in my encounter, the one that I saw, it was huge. Okay. I don't know if I've told you about my encounter or not. I burned it up on the show.
I think you have, but I keep getting your encounter mixed up with someone who had a similar one where he ran in front of them on the road crossing. And it's very similar to yours, but right in front of the Jeep.
This one was huge. Cinnamon red color. And it looked human. It looked more human. I expected Patty like on your background is what I expected to see. This looked human, but not only did it look more human, it looked more Native American. It had high cheekbones. It had a Native American style nose it was huge. Okay, but it's still a Native American style nose. And its skin color, where it didn't have hair like around its face, and it was kind of sparse down its chest and stuff like that too. But the skin color was a really tan color. So, you hear a lot of different descriptions: the blue, the gray, black, ashy colored. All these different descriptions, and I think it's, in my opinion, Sasquatch is just like people. Okay, different color hair, different color skins, different faces. You got some that are more ape-like, some that are more human-like, and things like that. But definitely interesting. That's one of the. I'll be honest with you. That's one of the few photos that I've seen where I can actually say, yeah, I can see something right there.
I've had so many mixed emotions about that, but that's the same face that's in that other picture. That
the cats are playing.
Cats are back there. But that's the same picture. That's just, I tried to clear it up a little and show it as one picture, and the other one I tried to do the side by side is there. It's gone. And I think that's a little more compelling too. It's like, I'm not just showing you, I'm showing, this is before AI. This, it was there, whatever that was. I'm showing you this version of it. I'm showing you the back version, and I'm showing you it's gone now. Something was there. Whether you want to admit what it was, you don't have to. We can all disagree on what it was. What we can't disagree is that it was there and now it's gone. And
that's what I even say about my own personal sighting. I can't tell you that was Bigfoot that walked across the road in front of me. But I can tell you what it wasn't. It wasn't a bear. It wasn't a deer, and it sure wasn't another person.
Right.
So, all right, we're going to move on here to the next photo. If I can get this crazy laptop to work. Here, come on, baby. Don't let me down now.
Well, that's the same exact spot with the other blurry ones where the one was on the side of the tree. This is another tree as I was walking in. And I think there's two of them in that one. If you really were to zoom in, for whatever reason, when I went through different filters, that color stands out whenever they're at wherever they are. That I lit the filter up, different filters, but that color stood out. And if you were to zoom in on those, you'll see it looks like two eyes and a face on both of them. There's one on the other side and one right by each other. And you obviously just see the little bit of a face on the one, but the other one you can see it looks like almost like a damn one of them things from from
Chewbacca?
No,
an Ewok.
Ewok, almost like a damn Ewok. And whatever it is, you can see eyes and look at a face on it, and that was right in that same spot that the other ones were at. I said, I swear, I walked right up on the whole group. If you could have heard them, how they took off, like, oh God, he caught us off guard.
I had an encounter like that at that property I was telling you about in Spotsylvania County. God, it was like early in the morning. I had just come back in. We'd been out in the woods, beating the brush, trying to find evidence, trying to have encounters and things like that. And I come back into my tent. And I had laid down and I was just starting to go to sleep, and I started hearing these like super heavy footfalls. Thump, thump, thump. And it was kind of like, and I hate to use that reference too, because a lot of people do, but it's kind of like that Jurassic Park thing where you can like see the cup moving, and it felt like everything was going to shake.
But it's a different sound, though, isn't it?
Yeah, and I raised up, and I mean, it was like right outside of my tent. And I raised up, and I got a hold of the zipper on the window, and I was going to unzip that window real quick. And look, and I got my hand on that zipper, and I was like, do you really want to open that window and look? I just laid back down. And I said a word about it because, it was one of them deals like I'm half asleep. I don't know if this is even real. If it is real, do I want to unzip it and look at it, through this thin piece of tent that he's going to jerk apart and beat me to death with? So I just laid back down and went to sleep, and I never said a word about it. And everybody was out of their tents that morning, and we were sitting around the fire, and we was, cooking a little bit of food and had some coffee going and things like that. And one guy comes strolling up through there, and he said, "So, am I the only one that heard the footprints last night?" And I was like, "Nope, you are not the only one." All right, we're going to go on to the next photo here. Come on now.
All right. That's my, right in the middle. To me, almost looks like a gorilla holding a tree. And that was on a rear-facing camera shot. I couldn't even tell you the exact location on that. It was in the Green Swamp. And I happened to be going through film like I was doing, and I saw it. I'm like, what in the heck? I had heard something. A lot of times when I hear something, I'll turn and just start recording behind me.
Or when you get that feeling.
Or when I get that feeling.
Something's behind you.
I'm going to bring this photo back up. Okay. This is kind of out of the ordinary. Oh, God, I hate this laptop. This is kind of unusual for Florida because this is a lot of hardwood and stuff through here, like some, trees and things like that. Usually, like, you're going to be dealing with a lot of palmetto, sawgrass, things like that. And that is like as tight as that the tree structure is in through there.
Yeah,
that's like the perfect place to hide.
If you were to zoom in on that picture, it looks like almost like a gorilla, and he's got his hands. You can see both sides of the hands around the tree like this, and it looks like he's just squatted down and went to freeze mode and didn't move. Mm-hmm. But you can see the shape of his head. You can see his arm. It would be his left arm holding on that side. But I mean, it's a blurry picture. Yeah, but
that's what I'm saying. Look, you're not going to have National Geographic style photos of Bigfoot right now because you don't have National Geographic photographers out there that are staying for 325 days to get one picture of one fox.
Right.
It's like the perfect picture. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
That's, and that's the thing. It's going to be kind of blurry photos. It's going to be some shaky video.
I bet you the government has some good pictures of them.
Yeah, well, yeah. I put my tinfoil hat on and we could talk about it, but yeah, for real. All right, we're going to move on here. Come on now.
Oh, that's that same one.
Yeah, okay. Let's see here. How about this?
Okay. This is that's the guy that, all right, so I told you about the tree that got shaken over or pushed over when I was in that area. So Stacy Brown was one of the first people to ever come meet me and go out to where this area was, where that tree got pushed over. That picture on the right with that palmetto, you can see it's a palmetto, a palmetto palm frond, right? Mm-hmm. You can see that man standing there with a hat on.
Yep.
All right. The next picture in the middle, you see that same palmetto frond. It's not as clear, but you see that palmetto frond? That's the same palmetto. That's the same exact palmetto frond. And in the third picture, that's the same palmetto frond. Now, if you look in the third picture, the angle's just a hair different. But the third picture, you can see the third picture and the second picture. You see that both see the two trees that are there. that are,
Yep.
and then in the middle picture, there's a big giant blob of something in the middle that wasn't there in any of the other pictures. If you were to zoom that in and really be able to look at it, and you start, once you realize what you're looking at and it becomes clear, I caught this on one frame of a slowed down frame. And I swear he looks like Harry from Harry and the Hendersons. And the top of the picture going down, you'll see his white beard, his hair. He's old. He's an old man. He's got white on his head. He's got a white beard. It comes into his chest. He's got a white and silvers in his chest. That picture on the right, Stacy's cameraman was 6'2". If you were to draw a line straight across, that's why I tried to get as close as I could. He'd end up right about where that thing's belly button is. And we estimated, we did the comparison on that 19-inch footprint, 19 by 10, it would have put him at close to 9 foot tall, which is right about where he should be next to that guy.
Wow.
He would have came up about to his belly button.
And dude, that's hard. I'm just going to say for real, that's hard business. Because like I said, you're in the swamp, you're dealing with the palmettos. It's like here, when I'm researching here, like I took my nephew last year and we actually found a footprint in the same camping ground where I'm at right now.
Oh.
And it's probably about 14 inches long, and it wasn't really a good print. The substrate was pretty rough, and it was full of water, and I mean it was not a real good print. But it's the first one he ever found. He was 8 years old. It tickled him to death. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
And anyway, the substrate and stuff here in Virginia is so much different than what you guys would be dealing with in Florida. Like here, we got a lot of hard packed ground. Okay, just to be straight up, we've got a lot of hard packed ground. We've got a lot of hardwood forest. You got white oaks, red oaks, chestnut oaks, all kinds of stuff like that. Beeches, lots of maples, and there's a lot of, like in the forest itself, the ground is packed pretty hard. Okay, so you're not going to have perfect environment for a footprint, and it's really hard for people to find footprints. So that's the thing when you're dealing with all this stuff, and like you go down to Florida, all right? You're all down in Florida. You got the palmettos, you got the pines.
Sugar sand.
The pines are phenomenal. Okay, you got like 6 inches of pine straw on the ground year round.
Yeah.
And it's the people bale that stuff. They actually have small balers that they bring through there and bale it and sell it as pine straw.
Huh.
So I mean, that should tell people how thick that stuff is. Okay, if you got people that are commercially harvesting wild pine needles that have fallen off the tree to sell as pine straw, that's how thick that stuff is. And you're not going to get a perfect print or in the same instance. Okay, if you're trying to take that 1 in a million National Geographic photo of Sasquatch and he's moving, okay, that's going to make it hard to get a good clear picture of it. Now you've got all that foliage, palmettos, old man's beard, sawgrass, and all this other stuff in the way, and you're trying to come through there and get that photo. You can start shooting photos right here, and everything that you get as you go across through there, it's going to look different because you've got all the foliage in there. You've got something that's moving through that, and I think their camouflage is like
perfect.
Yeah, on point.
There's something with our phones. Something with our phones and mirrors that we pick up different when you see them different. It's a different light or the way it picks it up. The camera, you can be there in person and not see it and look at it on camera and you catch it. Just a little change, just a little bit. My dog was there with me that day. And that was the day that I'd found where that was at, where he was at, was I'll have to send you these pictures and you see how it all correlates together. And I don't ever have time to put all this together to tell the whole nation on how, if everybody knew how this added up, they'd be like, wow, this guy's really found some amazing things. This area, the tree, this was 3 palmetto palms that were pushed over like this, that like 30-degree angle again. On this side was a tree that was stripped bare, holding up the side over here. And on the back of the root ball where it was dug out was another stick that was stripped bare and holding up that side of it on both sides where it couldn't fall. On the right side where the palmetto palm comes down, there was a nest in there. It was laid down, bedded in there. I'll send you this video. I have a video I haven't shared with anybody yet. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it eventually. I just haven't. I had to make it. I had to like put it in CapCut and remake it to make it where because it's really small. And but I'll send you a copy and you'll be like, oh, you'll understand what I'm talking about. You see my dog, and we did a reenactment that day. And the day I was there, my dog is like smelling everything. It's so many smells she couldn't pick up on one. They were so pungent back there.
Mm-hmm.
And that where that guy's looking at me, the tree is actually up a little, and he's peeking behind that tree. I'm right there at their what I call the living room. We've been back a lot of times now to that area. Right behind there, my son had a Class A sighting that we haven't even got to talk about yet. With RPG, I was there with RPG and his kids, and we had a Class A sighting. It was going to be a show, but we never got to come out with it yet, so I never released it.
Mm-hmm.
I got my son crying where he's like, I'm like, are you okay? And RPG filmed him, and he's like, tell me what you saw. And he's like, he was 8 foot tall. He was there watching us, and he went down. And like the emotion of my son, he's not lying, you know? And that was right where that happened, right in the same spot. There's a big family back here in this area. It's right across from where I told you they've been marking the whole area. It's all in this one area. And it's amazing. It's really amazing back there. Problem is, I feel like someone's trying to keep me out of there. Like I said, the last time we went there, my toe got carded. My car got our car got towed last time. I was back there when all this really started happening. Within 2 weeks of me being back there, this weird hunting camp popped up back there. Nobody goes back there, but this weird like hunting blind and like high dollar feeders and some things popped up in this one little spot back there.
Mm-hmm.
I swear something's being watched back there, and they're trying to keep me out because I'm getting close to things back there. And it just feels really odd. I'm not trying to go into conspiracies and all that, but I've had a helicopter go right at the top of me. I've had a lot of weird things going on back there. And it's a very unique place. That's all I can tell you. And something's going on. And it's behind $1 million neighborhood. That's the weird part too. But nobody goes there. You have to walk 5 miles if you come from the neighborhood to get into this spot because of how you have to walk around the creek and everything to get back into where this is at. And it's close to where power lines are. But the power lines on this side where they're at don't get mowed. And the creek is the same creek that runs all the way up 15, almost 20 miles farther north to where the other area is I'm showing you all these pictures from.
And you know, that's something really interesting too, is that's like the two major highways I think that Sasquatch uses, power line cuts. And you know, here the power line cuts is where they've cut the trees down and all that, and you might have a little bit of scrub brush through there. But like as soon as they cut the trees down, all the blackberries and stuff comes up those power line cuts. The huckleberries start to spring up, and it's perfect feeding for these animals. And it's an easy path that they can follow, path of least resistance. Same thing with the creek. You know, you go back to the Boggy Creek movie, and it says, oh, it always follows the creeks. Yeah, I think so, because they have to be that close to water, I think,
well,
in order to survive.
And then you add in Florida and the Tampa Bay area and North Tampa, all the construction that's going on, and you got these little tiny areas that are protected. These little tiny areas right where that creek comes through that's only a couple miles wide. And everything is funneled in there. All the deer, all the hogs, turkeys, everything year round are funneled in and out of there. And it is a lot of game. So I don't know if you saw the video where we found the bones. It looked like raccoon bones back there. I don't know if you ever saw that video.
I don't think I have.
There were 16 skulls we found back there in the same spot.
Wow.
I don't know if it was a trapper's spot or what, but it happened to be right where this thing's family group is. A pile of bones, 16 skulls and bones we found back there.
I've heard of bone piles like that before in Bigfoot hotspots. It doesn't surprise me.
It's
All right,
weird.
we're going to move on. We're going to the next picture here.
Yep.
if I can get this thing to work.
That's one of the 19-inch footprints. That's the, I don't know if it left or right, but that's the one that was above. So you can kind of get an idea. It's in grass. That's off the trail, which is the trails to the right is a 4-wheeler trail going back there. Mm-hmm. And 90% of the times, footprints I find are off to the trail, are off to the left or right of the trail, not usually in the trail. You know?
Yeah, and that's pretty common too. I think they hide in those spots to watch and see what we're doing.
That footprint right there was the footprint I was looking at when my dog started growling, and then that thing pushed that tree over. I stopped when I saw that footprint and realized how big it was and what had to match it. I was like, nope, I'm going to wait and come back in with somebody else.
This is the one we were looking for earlier with the mud pushed up.
Nope, this is a different one.
Is it?
This is from Washington State. That was 4 foot up the side of a mountain, almost vertical.
God,
it's a 17-inch footprint, and you can even see the right of it. Now David Shealy found this footprint. We were me, David, and Mid-Florida and Christina. It was like our first day there when we got to Washington State, and they had given us Jeeps, and we just went out and wanted to go exploring, you know? So we had stopped on this logging road, and right up the freaking mountain, 4 foot up, Mike's like, or David's like, Mike, come here, you guys see this? He's like, am I seeing that right? And I'm like, holy shit, David. Like, it was 4 foot up. You can even see the bunion on the side of the ball of his foot.
That's what I was going to say. You can see.
Yep.
Like right beside where the big toe is.
You can tell the next step was at an angle up this way. You can see where his foot moved, and it was 4 or 5 foot up higher where his next step was. Straight up the freaking mountain.
That's crazy.
I got a 3D scan of that.
Let's check.
That's a juvenile looking at me in that same area in the same area. He looks like when you zoom in, it looks kind of like a chimp.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm over here putting a cursor on it, and I'm like going around because I could see something right there, and I'm like going around, and I'm like, yeah, everybody can see that, and I was like, nobody sees that cursor but me, man.
I was looking harder.
Technically, he's kind of doing this. He's like got his hands like.
You can see the discoloration around the tree. And again, it's one of those things I can't come out and say that's a Sasquatch because I wasn't there. I really don't know. It's a different perspective, but you definitely see something right there.
His hands are like this.
He's a peeker.
Yep, he's peeking at me. And that's another one from filming behind as I'm walking around.
Okay, let's see what we got right here.
That's the first footprint I was talking about. That's my size 12 boot. That gives you an idea how big that footprint was with the mud and how heavy that had to be. That's the one that was behind the one you just showed a minute ago in the grass.
And I don't even know if you can call that mud. That's more like sand and
yeah. It was wet. It was wet out there. It had been flooding.
And I'm just going to be honest with you. Wet sand like that, that's not conducive for making casts. That's rough.
Man, where that thing stood, that mud was like almost 3 inches tall where his heel went down and came out the back. That's a massive footprint. And that would definitely match something that's 9 foot tall and 800 to 1,000 pounds. Yeah. She found a 20-inch footprint back there. I have a really good 3D scan of. Her first footprint she ever found was a 20-inch footprint back there.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
My best was 15 and a half inches, like 7.5 inches wide. So
and it was like 2.5 inches deep too, and you can see it in the 3D. I did a 3D scan of it, and you can see it. It's clear. That's that same footprint.
Yeah, I think we already showed that one.
That's that big toe, right?
Yeah, that's Big Toe.
Your nickname, Big
My
Toe.
buddy, there he is. That's Big Toe. That's my buddy. That's that area. I told you I got close to that group, and these are the footprints that I would find. If I would have known back then that I wouldn't get them all the time, I could have gotten probably 15 of them of this same size, of the same guy. He followed me everywhere back there. I think he's the white one. The white one with the black face.
Yep.
I think that's him.
And I mean, for the audience, and I've got 51 comments. I'm gonna have to go back through here.
Oh yeah.
When you look at this area where this cast is being made at, look at the terrain right there. So you've got all this decomposing wood, leaf litter, and everything else right there. That's a hard spot to try to get a good cast.
Oh, yeah. You know. All right. So you see what kind of substrate that is.
Yeah.
What that is that's water underneath that too. So the longer you stand, the more you sink in.
Yep.
All right. So that's this one.
Yeah, you got a good toe ridge right there. I mean, definition in substrate like that, you're not going to have good definition.
But this is why I called him Big Toe. But you can see, I think he's a teenage male. It's a 13-inch footprint. It's not super long, but look at the break on it.
Yep. Very
All
good.
Right, so
there.
This was my first cast I ever made. And it's not the coolest, but it's awesome. But what's cool is I made this cast and it was just about dark. And I knew that you can even see when I get up close, I'll show you how lumpy it is.
Mm-hmm.
That's not tread. That's because of all the substrate. It's all wet and pitted in there. So you can see the thickness of it, right? That's a moving footprint in that area. Not super deep. He was moving, right? I came back the next morning to get my footprint. Me and Kaylin came back to come grab it. And this was standing beside it. He had walked over and stood beside it to see what I was doing over with this. So now look at the thickness of it.
Yep, standing, pressed down.
Standing there. He stood there, probably weighed 300 pounds or so, whatever he weighs. He stood there and he sunk in deeper, his toes. He was looking at what I was making because he followed me around. So there's a difference. But that's pretty awesome to walk up and see that sitting beside it. There was one on each side, but the other one wasn't quite as clear. But I got this one. And you could tell it's the same guy.
Yeah, and I mean the big toe, it's got the long big toe on both feet too. I mean, you can't deny that.
No, it's freaking awesome.
Yeah.
And they both
and
they both go like that.
And the toes, if you look at it, you see how the other toes are kind of curled like that. You get so many crazy patterns from these things. Like one track will look completely different than the next track from the same foot in the same substrate, just because there's so much more movement in their foot. It's
like when we went to the beach, it was like, we were walking around and looking at all the different, obviously human footprints at the beach, but it's like, depending on how hard you step, which direction you step, what you're doing, if you're running, if you're walking, they can all look different.
This is the day that we saw the juvenile and we were waiting for the cast to dry. The day me and my son saw it, this is the footprint my daughter found. This is one of 4.
That was the one that I had to run out and bring them material for.
You just look at that big toe. And how splayed out that foot is. It even stood on a rock. It didn't even bother it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. There is like so much movement in that foot. It's almost like, okay, and nobody's going to know what I'm talking about, but it's almost like moon shoes. Anybody that's worked concrete?
Yes,
oh, yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
It's almost like moon shoes. It's like they step down and that foot expands.
Yeah.
Like stretches out. And you can look at them too, like I said, left foot strike to left foot strike. This track will look completely different than that track, and it's the same foot, the same substrate. And like I said, I think there's just so much movement with that mid-tarsal joint and stuff
Yeah.
that the footprints look crazy. No, those curled toes, that's a perfect example of what I'm talking about.
Yeah. And I think their foot can go like our wrist too. It can go out this way.
Yes, sideways. Yes, sir.
Yep. You'll see I've seen bent footprints. They're like they're curved, you know? And it's weird. This is one of the biggest ones I have right here. This is from Ocala. I just happen to have it in there. Well, I'm gonna come back a little bit.
That is a big one.
This one, so he was a 9-year-old boy led me to where this footprint was. We were doing a camping trip. But what's really cool is picture, this is sugar sand, okay?
Okay.
So picture if you're in sugar sand and you're about to step over a ditch, your toes are gonna grab in and step over. And that's what his did. His toes grabbed that sugar sand and went over. The heel on that thing is massive.
That is incredible. And you know, too, that's what I'm saying, man. It is so you've got, and everybody's going to look at these casts and talk about, well, those aren't good casts. Those aren't good casts. You have to take into consideration the substrate that the track is in. Sugar sand is one of the worst substrates to try to cast in.
Right.
Because when you pour your medium in there, whatever you're using, whether it's dental stone or plaster of Paris or whatever you put in there, it's going to stick to every bit of that.
Yeah.
When you bring it home, you're going to have to brush that thing for about 5 days to get all the little loose pieces of sand off of it and everything else. And
hairspray does help with sugar sand a lot.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Hairspray, we sprayed the hell out of that with hairspray to get it to kind of all stay together, you know. And but that one, I was actually really surprised at how well that took in sugar sand, to be honest.
Yeah, that is pretty incredible. Got a question from Ray Mosley. Ray says, what are you casting with?
I have different things. I mean, a lot of times it's just plaster of Paris because I can get it easier. You know, I can get it from Walmart. I can get it from Home Depot. I can get it anywhere. This one was not. This one was different. I can't remember the name of what it was, but Ruby had this, and it was a different material, and that's why it's almost got a yellowish tint to it, more yellowy tint to it. And I'm glad we did use it. The rest of them are mostly just plaster of Paris.
And I would make the suggestion, if you are going to use plaster of Paris, try to get some kind of little plastic screening that you can put down in it, and it'll help that plaster of Paris stick better. So when you do try to take it out, it's not going to break.
Yeah.
That's the bad part about plaster of Paris. When you try to pick it up, it's going to break.
Well, what I've really started doing is I try to pour them bigger than what they are, and I always try to put some type of, I call it rebar, in there. I'll take little sticks and I put them in. I do that on almost every one of mine. I put sticks in there and I feed them into it, and it really, really helps a lot.
Yeah. Well, so we've been through the photos. Make sure I've hit everything here. Oh yeah, we've been at this we've been at this 2 hours and a few minutes here. But
isn't it crazy how that works?
Yeah, it's no time is what it feels like.
Yeah.
No time. We do have a new song for you though.
What?
Oh,
come on.
That he was totally kidding. I didn't even say that. That was him. Just saying.
So I'm gonna play your song, and then I've got a few questions that I want to ask.
All right.
After the song. So we're gonna go ahead and get this guest song.
Cruising down near Homosassa back in 2017. Saw a shade across the blacktop like nothing ever seen. Shifted everything he knew about the woods woods and open sky. Now he's out in Pasco County where the cypress shadows lie. Looking for constructed bedding and the intricate tree bends, finding giant double footprints where the thickest timber ends. He leaves a little gifting spot and checks his trail cams close, learning how the creatures move where few ever go. He's tracking in the palmetto, walking through the pine, listening for a heavy vocalizes down the line. Stick throws in the darkness and a tree pushed to the floor. Mike Aguilar is searching where the swamp holds something more. Taking field notes in the hammocks, checking casts against the ground, teaching family how to listen when there isn't any sound. From the Northwest Evergreen trails to the Central Florida brush, keeping steady in the quiet of the late night wilderness hush. He's tracking in the palmetto, walking through the pine, listening for a heavy vocalizes down the line. Stick throws in the darkness and a tree pushed to the floor. Mike Aguilar is searching where the swamp holds something more. Yeah, the brush is full of secrets, but he's out there every night, following the trail out of sight.
Nice.
I like that one. That's got that dirty South grit to it. That's what I'm talking about.
My daughter's going to be singing a new song.
That one was definitely more catchy.
You know, this is one of the things that I wanted to ask about. Now, there is such a diverse horticulture in Florida. It's really hard to get your mind wrapped around it. Okay, because you got things in Florida that you really don't have anywhere else in the U.S. And then you've got things in Florida that are pretty much native throughout the South. And then there's all these crazy imported things. Okay. So, like in Florida, where you're at, what kind of, do you have any like palms that have edible fruit on them, kind of like the jelly palm or anything like that?
I don't.
Man, Paul, remember?
Yeah. Well, I mean, you've got swamp cabbage that we you know you can eat the hearts of the palmetto palm of the sawgrass palm. You can eat the heart of the sawgrass palm, and it's good, and that's definitely a food supply. And I've found, so bears like to eat it, and other things, but what we find out there, and I found like 8 or 10 of them in a row, where you have to like grab it, twist, and pull at the same time, the way you pull it out, and it'll rip, and there'll be a hole right where it used to be, and you'll rip the whole heart right out. But if a bear does it, they shred it. We find them just a hole. They claw it up, but we find these holes, and it's just like they're gone.
Just
it's like
plucked.
Yeah, like they were like they took a turnip or something and popped them out of the ground. But the amount of strength you'd have to pull up the palm, a saw palm like that is ungodly amount of strength, and we find them just gone. like carrots or something, just popped out of the ground, you know?
See, the reason I was asking is like in Hawaii, okay, if you look at a lot of the coconut palms in Hawaii, the tree is bent. Okay, and people just think, oh, well, they grow like that. No, they don't grow like that. Palms are straight up. I mean, they grow stick straight, gone, straight up. They don't have much lean to them. The reason those coconut palms are leaning is that Hawaiian natives actually forced the tree to grow like that because it made it easier for them to climb to get to the fruit. So that's why I was asking about, because, you know, we talked about some trees being bent and things like that earlier. And that's what I was kind of thinking. That's the reason I asked that. If maybe,
You know, I don't know, and I should know this answer. I don't know if they have seed. They have these pods. They get big bunches of them. They look like little miniature coconuts. And there'll be a few hundred of them in a big, all right? I don't know if those are edible. I'm sure they are. I don't see why they couldn't be a food source. I just don't know how good they are. I've never heard of anybody eating them, but I don't see why you couldn't. I'm sure there's something, they have nutrients to them. But the reason, what made me think about that is I have seen so many palm trees that are like S's where they go and they S down back in these areas. And I've never seen them like that in other areas except these areas. And I've seen them where they bend like that and go over the water too, like
by the rivers
and things. But I've never seen them like that any other place. Usually they're up or at an angle, but not down to the ground and back up. That's unique.
That's what I've been thinking about. That's pretty interesting.
That's unique.
Now, like the little coconuts that you're talking about, that is exactly what those are. They are miniature coconuts. The shell is super hard. The Mayans in Mexico harvest them and they carve the shells. Nobody really eats them anymore because they're so hard to get into. You know, it was a food source back in the day. You know, they would crack them and eat the meat out of them. But they make carvings out of the shells. And sell them as like little tchotchkes in the shops and stuff. Super hard shell, but that's what they are. They're miniature coconuts.
Wow.
Another thing that I wanted to talk about was, you know, in Florida, you got so many things working against you as a reason. Just to start off with weather, okay? I call it summer weather. It's going to rain somewhere, sometime, every day. So you got
between 4 and 6 o'clock.
Yeah, and I mean, for real, you got to watch that. But you've got the weather working against you, the terrain. Okay, Florida is a really flat state, and you know I'm way up here in the mountains in Virginia, and you know we go to Florida, and it's kind of scary because like you can see a mile down the road. Okay, if you see 100 yards down the road here, you're lucky because it's curvy and you know hilly and everything else. But you know the terrain is so depending upon where you're at, you could be like in two totally different worlds. Okay, you could be like up in northern Florida, and you're going to have more like, and I may be talking, people don't know what I'm talking about, but you got pig nuts and things like that are growing. Pig nuts like a sour hickory is what it is. Not a hickory. Anyway, it's a pecan. Pig nuts and sour pecan. And then you got all these other hardwood trees and things like that. And then you go down South Florida and you got the palmettos and you got all these palm trees and all this other stuff. And it's like two different places. It's all one state, but depending on where you're at, you got two different places. So you got to prepare for two different types of environments, substrates in the ground, especially like the further south you go in Florida, the more water is on the ground. And the more water you have, you know, in the ground.
Or the farther west
I was
you
going to say.
or the more west you go.
Yeah. And then like you said too, then you've got the things like, you know, people think, you know, sugar sand, you're only going to find that at the beach. No, there's sand everywhere. And you can be walking through the forest, sand everywhere. Okay,
Yeah.
that's what it is. You have all those storms that come through, and all that sand and stuff gets moved on up. And look, that's what I always said. The one good thing that Florida has going for it is you can dig a hole, and it don't take long at all to dig a hole. Now, if you dig a hole at my house, you're gonna need a shovel. You're gonna need a sledgehammer. You're gonna need a digging bar because we got nothing but rocks. Okay, Florida man, dig a hole, gone. I could put up fence in Florida in a half a day, and it's completely
As long as
different
you're not by,
environment.
as long as you're not by roots.
Yeah,
That's it.
Look, if you've seen some of the rocks I've had to cut through to put up fence posts here in the past couple of days, I can go through some roots, Jack. Quick. I got a 12-pound. People think I'm going to lie about it. I have a 12-pound digging bar. It's just a straight steel bar with a chisel head and a big round cap on the top of it. And you pick it up and let it fall. And it hits the rock. And you just got to keep going until you can chip that rock out of the way. So roots don't even faze me. Roots don't even faze me. Anyway, with all that being said,
y'all are a different breed.
oh yeah. But researching in Florida, what is like the best advice that you and Christine can give anybody that wants to go to Florida and do some researching?
Wait till November.
At least.
Well, not only do you have the heat
Humidity.
and the humidity, which if you're not used to it, then you take a bag, you put your shirt on, because you gotta wear your snake boots. I wear pants, snake boots. By the time you put your snake boots and your pants on, you're already getting hotter. And then I usually wear cutoffs. That's why I am usually, but I'll have my backpack on. You take your backpack, your cutoff, and your boots and all that on. Now you've added on another 30 pounds onto you while you're walking around to carry your extra water too, because you got to have plenty of water because you
gotta stay hydrated.
You get back into these areas and it's like you don't realize how much you're sweating. You are sweating just an ungodly amount,
and the air is just so thick. With humidity.
Yes. And then you got and then ticks are coming up your legs. You got to watch out for your snakes. There's a lot of stuff, man. But it is one of the most beautiful places you ever go once you get back into these areas. But you have to be able to adapt for sure, because it's such like you said, there are so many different terrains. You go across the street 15 minutes this way and towards the coast, and it's like a tropical rainforest back there, and the humidity level goes out the roof. You go to the right, and it's complete different terrain, and it's like we call them Florida mountains, but it's like big hills that they've mined through. There's not a lot of places anymore that's hard to find anymore where they haven't mined for phosphate limestone, but it's so different here and adverse. You have to be ready for anything. So you have to pack a little extra, but it's hard to say it, man. One thing I will remember, that if I tell you one thing about walking through a swamp in Florida too, one thing I can tell you, never walk through black mud. Walk around black mud. If you see black mud,
and it's dark,
if you're walking in a swamp, if you're walking in anywhere where it's a little bit wet and you see jet black mud and some little green things growing out of them, walk around it as much as possible. Don't walk into black mud. You might not walk back out. You might just keep on going down.
You might go to your ankle. You might go to your hip.
Yes. You don't know which one's going to happen. My friend Chris lost a pair of really nice boots like that.
That's a funny video.
They were just gone.
What's wrong, Chris?
Yeah, that was pretty funny because I couldn't get. I was trying to give him a palmetto palm.
We kind of have the same thing here, but it's clay. Like if you're dozing and putting in a house seat, and you hit that clay, when you hit that clay, dude, somebody's losing a pair of boots. That's all there is to it.
Well,
As soon as you hit that clay.
And you'll walk around the edge of these rivers and creeks and you'll find an alligator hole that you don't know is an alligator hole. And it'll be this thick grass, like this thick, that looks like regular grass until you walk on it. And then you can just go bloop, disappear all the way up to here in it. And that's a gator hole. They dig them out for when it's dry season.
Yep.
They dig them out.
They lay in.
So you have no clue.
So I'm going to say, if you want to go to Florida and you want to research, start on a trail.
There you go.
Find a trail, any marked trail, state Florida parks, wherever. Find a trail, stay on that trail. If you find a little opening, cut off. If it starts to get a little bit questionable, go back to the trail. You know, the more you're out there, the more comfortable you get. You're going to learn what to bring, what not to bring, like what you didn't end up using. Even still, every time we go, it's always a learning experience as far as like kids. If we're bringing all the kids, like that's like everybody needs a backpack.
You need
like,
you need a lot of water. You need a lot of water. You need a thermocell and bug spray.
Lots of bug spray.
Bring you a sweat rag. You need snake boots.
You're gonna need.
There's a list.
Yes, but just get out and experience it. I mean, if you're too afraid to venture off the trail because there's spider webs everywhere, it's thick. There's palmettos. We go off where people don't go a lot. We don't stay on the trail.
We don't stay on the trail, but I've had a lot of videos where people are like, "Oh, you're on a trail." Well, yeah, because that trail goes 2 miles into the forest. Then we get off of it and go another mile this way.
At least.
But people are like, "Oh, I see you're on a mowed trail." Well, you can actually find stuff on those mowed trails too. I mean, they're very curious of us. But a lot of our trails too, man. A lot of the trails are kept up for people. You know.
I'm gonna say this too. They can talk all the trash they want to about a mowed trail or whatever, but okay, I think that's a good place to start with because you have human activity right there. Why do you have human activity right there? Because it's mowed, it's nice, and people are out there walking their dogs and taking the kids out there and all that other stuff. And I think they're sitting there watching. They're fascinated with what we're doing.
Yeah.
And that being said, too, I think they're really fascinated with kids. I've heard lots of stories about, Bigfoot tapping on the window, telling the kids to come outside and all that other stuff. And lots of stories about, somebody seeing Bigfoot in the woods, watching a playground with kids on it and things like that. Now, I don't know if they have this obsession with kids because, hey, it's these little loud things and let's watch them and see what they do, or if it's like, boy, I bet that would taste good. So I don't know about that. So, that's always something that's in my mind. But anywhere where you got something like that, like the footprint that me and my nephew found here at the campground, there's like a trail that goes up the ridge and it's completely covered. We call them laurels, but it's really just a wild rhododendron is what it is. So it's super thick. They're evergreen. It's year-round cover. And on top of that rocky point up there on that ridge, you can look straight down into that campground and never be seen. There's no way anybody can see you up there.
I think I'm a really big believer also that what people have around the country is different. I think they're different. I think that if you come across a Sasquatch out in 1,000,000 acres where nobody's seen him in ever or his family, he might be more aggressive. He might look at you like food. If you come across them in Florida, everything's different in Florida. They're around a lot of people. They're funneled into areas. There's neighborhoods backing up to every swamp there is and every preserve.
Well, think about when we were in Gatlinburg, just 2 weeks ago?
Yeah.
The bears are just coming through town, making their rounds through all the different trash cans.
Have you seen the bear video where it goes into the candy store there in Gatlinburg?
Yep.
Yeah. Do you see my bear encounter?
I haven't seen that.
We were coming back from the conference and we were just about to walk up our stairs and I literally just said, man, the bears have to be coming from that mountain back there.
No, he goes, I wonder where they're coming from. I'm like,
duh.
The mountain is right there.
We step up on the stairs, and here comes this bear. I'm like, this bear. And I'm like in full pursuit. I'm like, literally, I'm like trying to go live. I'm like, I'm in pursuit.
Right on the trail.
I followed him for about 3 blocks through parking lots, trying to stay back from him. But it was pretty cool.
The thing too, when you're talking about them Gatlinburg bears, okay, these are healthy bears, okay?
Yeah.
They 300, 400, 500 pounds. Those are big bears.
Yeah.
They eat everything that they could get their hands on.
Yes.
I actually have
they're not afraid to come out and get it either.
Right.
No, we have a rental in Gatlinburg, and you can see it like when you're driving into Gatlinburg. It's all the big cabins and stuff. It's over on the left hand side of the road as you're driving up.
Yeah.
That's we have a rental up there, and every year when we go up there, it's the first thing I do because it's always got the porches and there's lots of room underneath the porches and stuff like that. Is I get down and look around the porches to see if there's any bear tracks or if bears have been laying up under the porch. Because I'm not going to come outside to walk my dogs at night and there'll be one standing on the porch because we got boxers. We got pretty good sized boxers. My wife's youngest one, he'll be 2 in December, and he's probably about 90 pounds right now. He's a hoss. And I'm pretty sure he was to see a bear, he'd probably break his shoulder trying to run at the bear. So.
Right. And so basically my point with that was here, where we live, 3 miles down the road is a sign that says, that there's bears in the area. Have we ever seen one? No. I've lived here for 23 years in this area. Never once seen a bear. And why is that? Why?
Just
because they don't go where the people are.
Yeah. And that's the thing too. Like you see the bears in Gatlinburg and they're pretty habituated to people. I hate to say it that way, but they are. Because you got people that come there from all over and they're throwing marshmallows to them and they're doing this and they're doing that. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and
they're very tolerant of us.
Yeah, because they see people throwing stuff to them, so they're like, "Hey, we can get some food off these two." Mm-hmm. So that is the difference between Gatlinburg and like where you live at. The sign may say, "Yeah, there's bears here," but they're like, "I ain't going over there. These people are there."
Right.
And so it's the same thing with Bigfoot too. I think.
Right.
I think we're certain ones that are kind of habituated to raiding the big trash dumpsters and things like that, and there's other ones that won't go near a human settlement.
I would be much more afraid of a Sasquatch out in somewhere where there's 1 million acres than I would here, because that you're out in the middle of nowhere out there. That one might eat you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
nobody will see it. Nobody will know.
Like I said, we talked about this earlier. There's so many big predators there in Florida that I can see there's a huge competition for food. And, now you have all these invasive species like Thomas talked about earlier with the big snakes and all that other stuff. So, you've got all these big predators there. So I can see whereas that would increase some aggression from Sasquatch because it's a food source thing.
Yeah.
Okay. I've talked to a couple people from Alaska. I talked to Fred Roll one time, and we was talking about his encounter story, and it makes sense to me why it seemed like Bigfoot was trying to get these guys. You know what I'm saying? Because look, you go to Alaska, okay, you've got wolves, you got wolverines, you've got bears, polar bears, you got all these big predators up there,
and then there's
very limited food supply.
You're on the menu.
Yeah, when you go to Alaska, I'm pretty sure you're on the menu for real.
You're an easy target.
If you follow that Bergman's Law, like we talked about, Bergman's Rule, or whatever you want to call it, when you talk about that, and you go further north, okay, Alaska's north.
Yeah.
The further north you go, the bigger things are going to be, and it would not surprise me because you hear a lot of people say, well, 8 feet's as big as it's going to get. You hear people talk about 10 and 12 feet. Those people are making that up. They can't get that big. Look, you go to Alaska and, if it follows the rule, 10, 12, 14 feet's not out of the question.
No, they got bears that big up there.
Yeah, and I know that sounds ridiculous. You know what I'm saying? But if it's 8 feet tall here where I live at in Virginia, why would it not be taller the further north it goes like the law says?
Especially when you have humans that are nearly 8 feet tall.
Yeah, well, you got that bunch from Iceland, and that's incredible. I mean, those people aren't human. I don't know what they are. They're massive. Like Hafthor Bjornsson, one of the world's strongest men.
Yeah.
He's from Iceland. They're descendants of Vikings, and they're not human. They're not built like everybody
they
is.
They can like go into freezing water and not get cold. You know, like there's something different about those people.
You know, and that's funny you mentioned that too. But that's something that I think about too. Like when you're talking about the skunk ape in Florida, okay? I see the skunk ape myself as kind of being a specific environment type animal, okay? Because every time you hear about the skunk ape, the hair is not as thick as it is on like the Sasquatch. It's kind of leaner. It's not got the mass like Sasquatch does. And the smell, they talk about the smell with the skunk ape. There's more reports of smell from the skunk ape than there is from like Sasquatch. So I think all that plays into this is a warm, hot weather
Stinky
species.
If you were to take a Sasquatch from up north and put him in the swamp for a couple of days, I bet you he'd start stinking pretty bad.
Yeah, I guarantee it would. And I'd say he'd probably be sweating like I'll get out too.
Yeah.
it's an adaptation.
That's the thing, you know, you can't. That's an adaptation for that particular area. Okay.
Yeah.
So when you think about that being an adaptation for that particular area, how long do you think those things lived there in order to adapt like that to that area?
Right.
You know, a couple shows back, well, actually, when I talked to Papa Squatch crew, they had a thermal, and when I looked at the thermal, it blew me away. Okay, because it matched kind of the outline and shape of that hairy man rock art that they found out in California.
Yeah.
I can't think of the lady's name now. That she's the one that talks about it all the time.
But I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, it matched the outline of that hairy man rock art. And they say that thing could be as much as 10,000 years old. And here's this thermal image that looks almost exactly like that drawing. And I'm like, okay, that makes sense why they drew it like that, because the way you're looking at it. So, I mean, I think they've been around, like I said, probably before people were in this country.
Oh, I think so. I have my theory on it is, and I have my own take on it, and I feel like, what if they are from here and we're not from here? What if we're the aliens? What if our creator, and I'm not saying I don't believe in God, I believe in a higher power, but it also makes a lot of sense when people start saying God in the heavens and you're coming from up above. What if our creators came here and found this being here, and they found them and they used part of them to help? That's why we say we're a missing link, or where they're the missing link, or what if that was what we needed to make us? And that's why we're related. That's why we're 98% human, or they're 98, you know what I mean? We're related to them. And I've always thought about that. I thought about that. I was like, because I don't know how anything from this planet would do the damage that we do. You know what I mean? We do a lot of damage.
I'm gonna hop in here on this one. Okay. So when you think about animals, we're gonna pick mammals, we're gonna pick primates specifically. Okay. So we have primates, and they live on this planet. They've been on this planet, they live in harmony with their surroundings. They eat the food that's there. They know what to do, blah, 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 whatever, they live off the land. That's their resources. That's everything that they need. So that is typical primate, mammal. It's normal behavior for animals on this planet. Okay. Now let's take a look at humans. Okay. Humans, like you said, we alter the environment. Okay. So we're digging gardens, planting stuff, corn, beans, squash, tomatoes, whatever. We're planting all this stuff. We're bringing in odd species of trees to put in our front yard. We're bringing in different kinds of grass to plant. We're doing all this stuff that's different. We're changing the environment completely. We're taking the trees out, everything else. So now when you think about that, human behavior is almost identical to a virus type behavior. Now think about it, when you get a virus, the virus tries to alter the host in order to make it survivable for them.
Right.
So that's exactly like human behavior. We're trying to take the environment and alter it.
My biggest proof of that would be adaptation. What's the only thing on this planet that hasn't adapted to it? Us. We haven't adapted to anything. We get burned when we go in the sun. We go into a swamp, we get eaten by mosquitoes. No matter what we go to, hot, cold, everything else on the planet has adapted to it except us. We have not adapted, which tells me we haven't been here long enough to adapt. That's how I feel. You know, that's the way I look at it.
Okay, I'm going to bring up, hang on a second. Let me read this right here.
I mean, I'm not a genius, but I can tell you that I can realize that we haven't adapted to anything on this planet.
Yeah, I'm going to bring this comment up right here.
All right.
Ojibwe culture, we come from the, okay, I'm not even going to try to pronounce that because I'll screw that up bad and I don't want to offend anybody. Pleiades, and brought here by our cousins, who was first. Humans, from what I know, but not 100% for certain. It's Ojibwe. John, you'll have to answer me this. Now, Ojibwe, that's a plains nation, isn't it? I have a lot of Native American in my family. I'm a quarter Cherokee and Shawnee on my dad's side, and I'm a quarter Cherokee on my mother's side. Thanks to the U.S. government, I'll never be half because they won't allow that.
Right.
Anyway, I'm fascinated with the native take on Sasquatch. When you get into like I'm going to use both names because I think it's proper. Great Lakes to the plains. Yeah. Almost like the Lakotas. From the Great Lakes towards the plains. Anyway, the Navajo, the Dene, they say we're on like, I can't remember now if it's like the third or fourth world, but it all makes sense. The first world was destroyed by fire, I think. Then the next one was water, or the next one was ice. And then when the ice wall broke, the earth was destroyed with water. And when you get into the native take on things, you get some really interesting concepts that you got to sit down and think through. Like in the Cherokee creation story, the Great Spirit sent down a vulture to check out the earth, and the earth was still wet. And as the vulture flew, when it flapped its wings, it flew so much that it got tired, and sometimes when it flapped its wings, that its wings touched the earth and made marks in the earth. So if you're driving through the mountains and you look at the mountains, it looks like something has been drugged through the mountains, making all those little valleys as it goes through. So that makes perfect sense. John says third world, the seventh world would be fire. So, you have all these different creation stories, but one thing is in common with every native race here in the United States, every native nation they all have a name for
Bigfoot.
Sasquatch. Every nation. And you don't have, you don't have all of these different people. Okay. And when I say different people, it's hard to explain to people, but like these native groups are separate. Okay. They're all Native Americans, right? We're all Native Americans. And I hate the word Native American. Okay. I'm a Native American. I was born in the United States. My parents were born in the United States. My grandparents were born in the United States. I can take it on back. I am a Native American. And everybody says it's a bad word. You shouldn't use Indians. I say it all the time. These guys are Indians. And most everybody that I know that is Indian says that. So you have all these different Indian nations, and they were not exactly friends with each other. Okay.
Right.
Very different religions, very different, beliefs and everything else. But then again, too, like I said, they all have Sasquatch. Every one of them. Sasquatch in California, Sasquatch in Virginia, the Carolinas. They're all the natives had the name for it. Now, with that being said, the thing that gets me is you have people that will come out and say it can't be real. Okay. They can look at all your evidence. You've got great footprints and everything else to show. They look at all your evidence and say it's not real. You guys are making this up. And here's this big body of evidence backed up by thousands of years of history from our native ancestors. And it's not just history, and I'm going to pick on Florida for a minute. In Florida, like I was talking to Jason and them, I brought it up to them too. In Florida, they say that, I'm from the Appalachian Mountains, is what they say. You're from the Appalachian Mountains. I'm from the Appalachian Mountains. And I think it's funny because Florida says, oh, you're from the Appalachian Mountains, but they got a place in Florida called Apalachicola. So, that's the thing. It may be different ways that we talk, different ways that we dress, different ways that we do things, but still yet all Bigfoot and everything here in the U.S., Mexico, you go up to Canada, it's all over. It can't be made up.
Well,
thousands of people are not wrong.
It's all over the world. It's a worldwide phenomenon through every indigenous culture throughout the entire world. How are they having Yowies down in Australia all by themselves? Because it all used to be connected. So these things had to be here since there was one big large landmass that separated out. They had to all be part of that. They had to be here back then, which would have been millions and millions of years ago. So it would make sense that they were here back then. And how else could you have something? They didn't fly on a plane. They could have. A spaceship could have brought them over to Australia. But if they were from this planet, they've been here a long, long, long time and adapted to everything about it. And just like other things, they could have been bigger back then. And this is what they are now. They've adapted to the planet now,
Well, and it's like a lot of these people are closed-minded. They're not open to new ideas. Also, seeing is believing. Nowadays with the internet, you can Google just about anything and get a definite answer. Like, back in the day, they thought the world was flat because you couldn't see. But as time goes on, there's knowledge and there's things
a lot of people still think it's flat.
Well, there's some people. We don't go there. So anyway, I think there's a lot of closed-minded individuals.
There's a lot of sheep.
In general. You messed me up with your sheep.
Sorry.
But like I said, there's no, I don't know. I don't know, like I'm very like thirsty for knowledge, so shall I say? Because I it's power, and I don't use it in a powerful way. It's just it makes me feel good to know things, and I like to learn new things.
Christina,
you brought up a good point. Knowledge is power, and that's the thing too. Power is based upon the person that gets it. You see what I'm saying? So you have people that can have, all this power. Knowledge is power. You got really, really smart people that have all of this knowledge and all of this power, and God bless their hearts, son, they can't walk across the road by themselves. It's dangerous. Okay? That's the thing. It's all in.
He has a child like this.
Yeah,
I
so do I. But I mean, it's all in how you deal with it, and
how you use it.
Thing. When you get in, and like young guys or young people, I'm not going to say guys because there's women that do this too. But young people, when you get into this, that's something that you have to realize. Okay, this is not mainstream science. Okay, you're not going to win any awards when you find a footprint. You're not going to get any accolades. You're going to get a whole lot of people telling you that you're crazy, you're lying, you're making this stuff up, you're faking it. Look, I've been there, did that. But the thing about it is this is kind of like the point of the show that I like, is I talk to everybody. I don't care whether you believe in the woo, you don't believe in the woo, you think they're aliens, you think they're, interdimensional. I don't care. I want to talk about it because I want to know. I think if you exclude all of that stuff, then you're missing a huge chunk of information. And that's something else too. We did it on the first show when Mike was on. We talked all about all this stuff, stuff we found, stuff that we did, different places to go, and equipment and everything else. And that's it, information. I want to share information, not only for me, but for everybody. Everybody that's watching the show. That's
we can all learn.
Yeah, and this whole thing about people hiding stuff because they don't want anybody else to know about it. I don't want anybody in my area, blah, 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 whatever. Okay, that's great. Okay, take somebody in there with you that's not been there before. Let them see it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and share with other people. Okay, if I'm getting a response with a 3 knock like that, I'm going to tell everybody, hey, I'm getting responses with 3 knocks.
Right.
So maybe other people will do it and get responses too. That's the thing that I want. I want to take the information that everybody wants to hide and share it with everybody. And like I said, if you're excluding things like the woo, they call it, or if you're excluding things like interdimensional extraterrestrial theories, you are missing a big chunk of stuff. It all needs to be out there. It's all possible.
If somebody out there listening really wants to have an encounter, you go into the forest with a positive attitude. That's one thing. Go in there with a good positive attitude.
Leave all your worries and stresses behind. And
don't be afraid to push push it. If you really want to have one, don't be afraid to push the limits of where you're going to go. Yes. I am not the best about following rules. I like to push my boundaries a little bit. I go places I'm not necessarily supposed to go to some of the places I go. But guess what? I went to those places, and this is where I found half the stuff I found. I go to areas not many people are going, but are real close to where everybody goes. But I'm that 1% that's not afraid to go back there where I'm told I can't go. And I don't go on private property. I'm not talking about stuff like that. I won't go on somebody's private property and take a chance of getting shot. But if it's state owned, and it's county owned, and I might have a tendency to sneak into some places most people don't go. And that's, Christina had her first visual encounter because of me doing that. I went into an area that I wasn't supposed to necessarily drive into. And I decided to drive me, her, and her 2 kids in there. and we were in there for 15 seconds. What did we see, honey? What did you see? Her first encounter. What was it?
Actually, go ahead and tell the whole story, because we was going to get into this earlier and missed it.
Oh, okay. Well, it was a Friday night. We had not much to do. And we're like, you know what? Let's go out for a little night hike, ride, whatever. Let's just get out of the house. Well, end of the week, Friday, let's go have a good time. So, we're just driving out, and, where we go out and we walk around, we've been checking out this area for a while. And there's a fence, there's a gate. So, that's where you park. But there was like a little bit of a way around it. And in a Jeep, you can do things like that. And
it doesn't say you can't do that. It's just,
it wasn't blocked off. It was
right.
It was accessible. So it was accessed. And so we go up and around the gate and start coming down the hill, and it's just starting to get dark. It's about 7:30ish at night. And so we start going down this hill. And as you go down the hill, the headlights were like projecting above. And so we're just got over this hill, just going down. We're looking out, and all of a sudden I see giant, like road reflector looking yellowish green eyes, just so reflective, just there. Like I see 8.
Bam.
You can add in yours in a minute. And what I see, because I've never physically seen anything. I've smelled things, I've heard things, I've felt it. For me, seeing is believing. I'm kind of one of those because I'm a knowledge fact checker. But giant eyes. I see even with the headlights, just reflective. And I'm never seen anything like that in my life before. So I'm just looking out the window. I do this long blink, I'm gonna blink my eyes, and I'm gonna open them, and it's gonna be gone. Nope. They were still there. I'm just in dead silence, just disbelief. Meanwhile, Mike and my daughter are like, oh my gosh, do you see that? Freaking out.
Don't kick it.
I'm not gonna kick it.
Okay.
last podcast, I took out the camera. But anyway, so I'm just sitting there in disbelief, not these giant, I'd never seen anything like that in my life. At this
moment, Mike was not crazy anymore. Everything that Mike had led her to on this road suddenly made sense, and it became clear, and it was awesome. We saw this thing for 15 seconds at least. That's a long time to stare at something.
Yeah, that is.
We came over that hill, and he was standing. Me and her daughter were in the same line. And you know how you can change just a little bit by being over your eyes, the way the lights reflect. And as we came over that hill, her daughter's right behind me. And me and her daughter both, I went, oh my God. I stopped the Jeep. And I saw him go, like he turned his head. Whoop, and he was looking. And he went, looked that way. And then he looked that way. And then he stood up 2 foot taller. And oh my God. I watched him. I mean, literally, he just boop, boop, and then he stood up and he was 2 foot taller. So he was crouched down is what he was. He was crouched behind a tree.
And my daughter had seen 2 sets of smaller
green eyes.
Reflective eyes, off in the distance. 10
yards farther back. He was hunting deer is what he was doing on that access road. He was standing there. We went back the next day. And we went back there and it's on my YouTube channel. You can see exactly when we went back, and you can watch the video of how big that tree was.
Yep.
And you can see the access road. It's like a little, it's from back when they used to use it back in the day. And there's one little road that cuts through there. And the deer walk up and down that road.
Because it's more of like an open area, a pasture.
And it's about 4 miles of driving back there. And there's actually 3 caves back there that are completely covered up. They're fenced off. Completely fenced off. They say for protection. But I met a guy back there coming out of there one day, and I'm talking to him. I'm like, hey, my name's Mike. I do Bigfoot research, Sasquatch research. And he's like, oh, that's awesome. Blah, 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 blah. I'm like, you ever see anything weird back here? He goes, well, I walk back here with my dogs a lot. I said, how far back do you go? He goes, oh, I usually go back all the way to the caves. I said, you ever see anything weird? He goes, other than the bears climbing the fence and going in, I've never really seen too much. And I looked at him. I said, the bears climbing the fence? He said, yeah, they got up on their hind legs and went right over the fence like it was nothing. I said, how far away were you from? He said, about 80 yards or so. I saw them. Big black bears go up and go over the fence right in. I'm like, I looked at him, he goes, oh my God. And it dawned on him. He's like, oh my God. He kept saying, holy, oh my God. I've been back to that fence and it looks like somebody walks a lap around it every night and then up over the hills. The fence has been ripped open and repaired by the FWC about 10 times. Where something's been ripping it open to go inside there because they probably like to go in there. There's probably water in there.
And a cool,
And it's
dry
cool.
area.
And a cool cave in the middle of Florida? That's where I'd want to be.
Makes sense.
Anyway.
Okay, Christine, I got questions. Questions. The eye shine.
Mm-hmm.
All right, now I want honest opinion. Okay, don't sugarcoat it. Be straight. Was it projecting light from its eyes, or was it reflecting light from its eyes?
It was reflecting.
Okay, because I'm kind of in the camp of reflecting eyes, and you get a lot of different colors. The greenish yellow that you're talking about fits right in there. Bright red. I've heard bright red a lot. A gold color. I've even heard people talk about their eyes being blue. But I think
this was lime, almost lime green.
I think it's a reflection. How big do you think the eyes were? You had to compare it to something like an orange or a softball or
road reflectors on the drive home. I looked over on the way back and I'm like, that is exactly what it looked like. But in the tree, it's like a cypress Christmas tree. It's very floppy and flimsy. Like, I don't even know a bird that would be that big. Or, we saw an opossum in the tree the other night and we saw that like eye shine. It looked absolutely nothing like
it
that.
almost looked like the size of my fist.
Yeah.
Like
huge.
It's big. And the gap between them, it was just massive. I never saw him blink, but I mean, just watching his head move. And then when he stood up 2 foot taller, I guess the reflection hit him different because he put his head down. When he stood up, like the eyes went down, like it was hurting his eyes, and he aimed his head down. And then he took 3 big steps and was gone. Her daughter has better vision than me, and she said she could see his silhouette. Mm-hmm. She said he was huge. He's so big, and I couldn't tell. So I could just see it was like a stop sign. You can't see the pole, but you can see the sign. It was reflecting, and it was like the brightest reflecting eyeballs I'd ever seen in my life.
Okay, so like you're talking about, it was kind of squatted down and it raised back up, right?
Yeah, I think he was squatted down and then he stood up.
Straight up. That is way typical Sasquatch behavior. Okay, like in my own personal road encounter, it was actually in the ditch line, hunkered way down, and it stood up, and it went from like dead squatted down, and it didn't use its hands; it just stood up. And I mean, it went from being, what is that in the ditch line, to 8.5 feet tall.
Yeah.
So that's way typical, that straight up movement. And then you're talking about the smaller eye shine down there, the deer. Do you think that Sasquatch had kind of those yellow green eyes, or was that just the color it was reflecting?
Say that one more time. What about his eyes?
You think it had yellow and green, kind of like yellow greenish eyes, or was that just the color that was reflecting off of them?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what color his eyes were, but the eyes on the deer were green. I've seen deer's eyes before. They're green. They reflect almost green. Like when the light hits them, for whatever. I'm sure it has something to do with your night vision and whatever, because different predators, their eyes are different colors, and like gators are orange almost. And but this was lime green, and it had the most reflective to it. It was like a mirror, like you're shining a mirror almost at it and reflecting back at you. It was wild. They weren't projecting it. It was like two perfect circle reflectors. But those other ones, I mean, they were so low to the ground compared to what he was, you know?
So what went through Christina Lawhorn's mind? She saw those two big eyes.
For me, I was just in shock, like just 100%. That's why I closed my eyes. I'm like, no. Open them again. They're still there. Like, just like, holy moly. Holy moly. I don't know what else it could have possibly been. We went out there the very next morning, checked out the tree, looked in the woods behind it. There's, you know, how sometimes when you're out in the woods, there's like little random reflectors or trail markers or anything like that. Never again. We've been back there at night. We've been looking during the day. There's nothing else back there that it could have been.
Except trails into the forest and bones.
So what went through my mind is that it's got to be, what else could it be? There's not, our eyes aren't, you know, they're not reflective. They don't do that. We don't have eye shine. There's nothing, like, it literally saw what he's been telling me he's seen all these different times. And it was just, it really, like I said, seeing is believing for me. And even though I didn't see a figure, I didn't see hair, I didn't see anything other than these massive eyes, it was
everything
really
else,
alarming.
Everything else made sense after that, I would think.
He asked me.
I mean,
You know,
she didn't even talk about it. She was so taken at first. I'm like, how can you not be excited? She just couldn't talk. She was just dumbfounded.
No, like, because everything in my mind, I've always tried to, oh, well, humans could be, you know, bending the tree or doing this, manipulating that, or eating the Reese's, because we all love Reese's. You know, there's so many different variables, and there's so many things where you can say, oh, well, that's not what it is. It's just too unlikely or too uncommon, or, you know, but
there wasn't one for that.
In that, there's no other explanation than there's something out there in those woods with massive reflective eyes that we had all seen. It's just, it's, you know, really mind-blowing.
And that Papa Squatch thermal that I was talking about earlier that looks like the hairy man drawing, the eyes are huge. I mean, you get that big, and they're actually a different shade in the thermal than the rest of the thermal. So it's like, you know, there's a lot more heat going right there.
I gotta see that.
Yeah, I had it, but I had to delete it to put some more photos up. I kind of got a limited storage when it comes to photos, so
right.
But it's when you get down to like when you see it, everybody's like, "Oh, well, it was 100 yards. You can't see nothing at 100 yards." Okay, I'm just going to be honest with you. Okay, we were taught to shoot long range. Okay, at 100 yards, you can see facial features. Okay, I'm not going to say that you can see them perfect, but you're going to see eyes, nose, mouth, and ears on a person at 100 yards. At 200 yards, the face is not as clear, okay? Not as clear, and you lose a little bit of the body.
And you're talking
300 yards, people don't have hands anymore. You can't see their hands anymore. No facial features, but you can see the outline, no hands. At 400 yards, you start losing things like legs and stuff like that. It all starts to look like a stick. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So at 100 yards, you shouldn't have any problem seeing, facial features. That guy talking about, I see these black bears, about 80 yards climbing that fence, and then it hit on him. Hey, that's not black bears.
Right.
That's the thing. When you get to thinking about that, 80 yards, he full on knew that wasn't a black bear because he could see his face.
He saw him, and he saw it from behind. He saw their backsides going over the fence.
Yeah, it's crazy. God, we've been on here almost 3 hours. I'm gonna give you guys an opportunity. I want you guys to let everybody know. Here that's back on Sasquatch Watch Radio. Let everybody know where they can get a hold of Mike Aguilar and Christina Lawhorn at YouTube channels, Facebook, anything you got. Plug it. Let it out.
Can you imagine if we get married, she'll be Christina Aguilera? Almost.
Oh, I know about that.
Christina, it's Aguilar, but the way you say it, it'd be
Aguilar.
Aguilera?
Yeah, I
Anyway.
got that little hillbilly accent. I can't help it.
That's what I had when I was a kid. My grandfather was Hispanic. My grandmother was from Dothan, Alabama. So them two together made a unique combo. But so my great grandmother, she'd be like, "Okay, I want you to say your last name." I'd be like, "Aguilar," and she'd be like, "Oh no, it's Aguilar. Say your name, Aguilar." I couldn't say it with like. So we always joke around. We say I'm Hispanic.
Hey. I can't
So to see this Hispanic,
Yes.
you must go to
Anyway.
Back on Track.
Everything is the same name.
SquatchinFL. Is it mirrored?
I think
Yeah. I don't know.
Yep.
It looks backwards.
Watching FL.
everything is the same. All of our social media, all the same. We're still working on our website, which eventually will be done. It's just taking forever to get done. But we will eventually have that done. But we do have an online store. We have an Etsy store. We have a little bit of merchandise we sell. We sell some cool hats. We have them in orange also. Some
And
cool
pink.
shirts and pink.
Hello.
Um, We sell a little bit to support our habit. But everything is the same. We made it pretty easy. Everything's SquatchinFL.
SquatchinFL or Mike Aguilar.
Or Mike
Christina
Aguilar.
Lawhorn.
We're pretty much all linked together. Pretty easy.
That is excellent. Mike, Christina, I really appreciate you guys coming on tonight. It was a great talk. Hey, look,
Yeah, brother.
3 hours seem like no time for real. I mean, for
For
real.
sure. If you,
love
I got some guys. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
I'll just say we've got guys on our team that would love to. They've been wanting to do some group podcasts. So if you ever want to do a group one where you can send out a couple links and we can have a few people on, I know some guys that want to do it too.
Sweet. I'll let you know.
All right, brother.
If you guys can hang on just for a minute after I end the show, I'll speak to you a little bit off after we end the show. I just want to thank everybody tonight for tuning in. Man, the chat was rocking. I could not.
I'm sorry we didn't get to talk to everybody.
Yeah, the chat was rocking. When we was going through the photos, I'd look up and it'd be like 30-some messages. But I put up another photo and I looked, there's like 40-some, and it got up to like 50-some, 60-some messages at one time, and I was only like on photo 4, and I was like, I got to give up, dude. There's no way I can catch up now. Crazy.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you guys for watching. I want to give a couple shout outs here to Raymond Lee Mathis Jr. Thanks for the like. Andy Kilburn, thanks for the love, buddy. Appreciate it, man. And as usual, we'll be back next Monday night with a great guest. Monday night's going to be a pre-recorded episode because the guest is not able to come on Mondays and be live with us, but we're still going to have a good show. And as always, you guys keep watching, and I'm going to keep squatching. Love all you guys, and we'll talk to y'all next week. Night, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us for another episode of Sasquatch Watch Radio. We are incredibly grateful for our community. Because of you, we've surpassed 6,700 subscribers and continue to grow every day. Our mission here at SWR is simple: to provide a platform for honest, down-to-earth discussions about Bigfoot, free from drama and ridicule. If you've enjoyed the show, please help us spread the word. If you're interested in being a guest, you can reach us via our Facebook page, our YouTube channel, or by emailing us at sasquatchwatchradio@gmail.com. Be sure to subscribe to us on YouTube to access our full archive dating back to 2008 and to stay updated on all upcoming episodes. If you've had a sighting or an encounter you'd like to report, let us know. We have a network of researchers across the United States ready to assist. You can now find us on YouTube, Facebook, and Rumble. Please leave us a comment and let us know what topics you'd like to hear next. We'll see you next Monday night at 9 p.m. Eastern. Until then, keep on squatching.